Jason Gregor Show.
Rishaug, shot, save on Tortorella, score, save, score, 3.
On Sports 1440.
Had a great first half. Give it back to Jokic. Jokic on the pump fake. Not over the shoulder. No looker.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
7 seconds left. LeBron's got it with 4, 2, 3. Luka, that's right. Look at this thing. Oh, my goodness. LBJ with the winner. It's official.
Just after 2 o'clock. How are you? Welcome to the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. It's a winter wonderland out there. If you're driving in central Alberta, be safe on the roads. Turn your lights on, boys and girls, so everybody can see you get home. It's supposed to be snowy all day today and through the night, so it's a little slick. Lots of stuff melting right now, so it's sloppy. Sometimes your tires might grip. Saw a few accidents on hills earlier today. So drive safe and give yourself a little bit extra space. And hopefully you get home safe and you can watch some sports tonight. If you're a Major League Baseball fan, it is opening day in MLB. The Jays opening up at home to Baltimore. Not a great start, giving up a run in both the first and the second inning so far. We'll see how the season goes. If I'm not mistaken, I thought Barrios sucked last year in the season opener. So we'll see if it's better. Maybe my memory's wrong. Who knows? There's a lot of games, long time ago. We'll get to the Oilers game last night. Oilers back in action tonight in Seattle, a place they don't lose very often. They've only ever lost in Seattle once. That was the first time they ever played there. And since then, they've reeled off 6 consecutive wins. They've actually beaten Seattle 9 straight times. If the Oilers win tonight, it'll be the 5th time in franchise history that they have won 10 consecutive games against one franchise. They beat Arizona / the Jets 14 games in a row between 83 and 85. They beat the Red Wings 13 in a row between 83 and 87. They beat Quebec / Colorado, but it was mainly Quebec from 88 to 92 11 times, and also won 10 consecutive games over God, I don't even remember who the other team was now off the top of my head. I wrote about it today, but I can't remember the 4th one. Either way, it hasn't happened in 33 years. So you don't win that often against one team, even bad teams. So the Oilers, you know what? Last night for long stretches, they played pretty well. They shot themselves in the foot a few times. Some really head-scratching decisions by players on the ice at times that you're just kind of like, what are they doing? So we'll get to that. Also today, the playoff races in the National Hockey League continue. The Oilers, it's looking more and more likely like they are probably going to play the LA Kings and maybe in LA. Now, LA is in Colorado tonight. The Oilers, of course, are in Seattle, so maybe an opportunity for the Oilers to gain some ground. You have the Flames at home against the Dallas Stars. Calgary still in the race. They're desperate for a win. The Blues, who hold down the final wild card spot and are also 2 back of the Wild. The Wild host the Capitals. And Alex Ovechkin, the team that he has the highest goals per game against in his career, the Minnesota Wild. That's who they face tonight. And imagine the Blues win, the Wild lose, suddenly the Blues have tied them. And if the Flames win, then they're 4 back of the Wild with games in hand. So it, no pun intended, could be a wild finish in the Western Conference. In the East, Detroit's pretty much in a must-win situation, taking on the Senators. I think Ottawa could do themselves a favor, but also I think put the final nail in the Red Wings' coffin if they can get a victory tonight. Montreal will take on the John Tortorella-less Philadelphia Flyers. Torts was let go this morning. Not a real surprise when you think about what he said after their last game. Basically, like, you know what? Not really sure I'm that interested in wanting to coach in the situation they're in. Like, how many jobs can you have where you you know what? I'm not really interested in doing what you want me to do at this time. Oh, okay. Well, we'll fire you, but the key is you still get paid for another year. It's amazing when you have a contract like that. Utterly amazing. So he'll get paid $4 million not to work for the Flyers next year. And you know what? Hey, I kind of respect Tortorella's honesty. He is a coach. He's a better coach on a team that's competitive or close to it. The Flyers are not. Now, what has to happen here now that Tortorella's gone? If you're Shaw, the last thing you can do is screw this up and start winning some games for the Flyers. Make no mistake, the Flyers want to lose games now. They are 1 point ahead of Buffalo and 3 points ahead of Nashville and 1 point behind Seattle. They're not catching the Blackhawks or the Sharks. The Sharks and the Blackhawks are going to have the first and second best odds, depending. San Jose, I guess, if they can win some games, could catch Chicago in theory. They're 4 points back of them, so you never know. But if you're the Flyers, you just want to keep losing at this point. Like, what do you benefit with 9 games to go? Now they'll probably win 1 or 2, sure, but there's no reason for them to suddenly start winning games. Like, I know it sounds dumb because you don't want your team to lose. You don't ask the players not to try, but they don't have a very good team, so you don't want victories at this point of the season. So 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440 in our eWell inbox. It is the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca, where you can get in the game. Use the promo code Gregor50, and you'll get a free $50 play. Also, it is the Daily Grand, $1,000 a day for the next 20 years. Not bad at all. That's $7.3 million. So good luck. Get your tickets. PlayAlberta.ca, and also Lotto Max tomorrow, 65 mil. So let's get to the Oilers game last night. I thought Edmonton played a pretty good first period. And then they had one shift that, man, when you go back and you watch that shift, you're like, what? They just gifted Dallas the goal. So the Oilers have the puck. Ekholm pinches a bit. Corey Perry and Derek Ryan are behind him. The Stars are still deep in their own zone, well, above the hash marks. Derek Ryan and Corey Perry are both backwards skating through the neutral zone while Ekholm's skating back. Corey Perry's in the middle of the ice, and then he kind of just inexplicably floats over to the right side of the ice, leaving the middle wide open. Meanwhile, Derek Ryan, knowing that Ekholm is not back yet in the play, Derek Ryan just goes and changes. And no one on the bench is awake. And so that just allows Wyatt Johnson to just skate from his blue line right up the gut and then take a pass inside the Oilers line, has a breakaway, has oodles of time, and makes a great shot top shelf. Like, that play should never happen. The Oilers actually had 3 guys back. Corey Perry vacated the middle of the ice. Derek Ryan went for a change, and Wyatt Johnson just skates untouched up the middle. It was unbelievable. It was like, what is he, Moses here? He's just parting the Red Sea? What the hell's going on? It was nuts. Then you look at their the second goal. So, and Ekholm had a tough night. So Ekholm, the puck gets flipped up. Ekholm's inside his blue line, goes to glove it down to himself, gets too much on it, gives it right to Jason Robertson at the blue line. Now Robertson controls the puck. They bring it into Dallas. Rantanen kind of loses his balance. It goes to Rupe Hintz. Now Evan Bouchard, if you want to be super critical, you could say, hey, maybe Evan Bouchard wants to play him a little bit harder. Okay, sure. I can get that, but to me, it's still Rupe Hintz goes to pass the puck. Nugent Hopkins is high in the slot. Ekholm's kind of in the middle, and he's looking for Robertson. The puck hits Nugent Hopkins' stick and then deflects below Ekholm, Robertson skates onto it, wide open net. What can you do? Like, a little bit unlucky, but, if Ekholm controls the puck rather than gloving it ahead of himself, again, nothing play. It's 2-0. Then you look at the third goal. So the Oilers are on a power play. It's late on the power play. Now, Nurse's shot, I'm sorry, but you got to hit the net there. He misses the net. It goes wide. It ricochets around. They knew the result because they lined up with the face-off, and I think there was 5 or 6 seconds. Everybody on the Oilers knew that Robertson was coming out of the penalty box. Ekholm decides to pinch, but he doesn't get the puck. You can't pinch there if you're not 100% certain you're getting the puck. He doesn't pinch. The Stars dump it up. Robertson's out of the box. Now he's got all day, comes down the left side. Now, originally I'm at the game. I'm like, geez, that's a shot Skinner should save. And I still probably think it is. It was interesting, though, talking to Rob Brown, guy who knows a lot about scoring. He says, that's actually the perfectly placed shot. He goes, when you don't hit your spot, everybody thinks it's a terrible shot because usually you just hit the goalie right in the pad. He put it right at the bottom side of your pad because when the goalie's going to go down in that position, that's where you have the most time if you could put the puck in the right spot. I still think you should save it, but it was interesting listening to a guy who knows a thing or two about scoring in Rob Brown that he thought it was a really well-placed shot by Robertson. Either way, Nurse missed the net. Ekholm bad pinch. Skinner probably want to save. Done. 3-0. Then you get to the fourth goal and the natural hat trick. Now, it's a 5-on-3 situation. Ekholm breaks his stick. It's basically a 5-on-2. You see it. They bring it to the point. They walk in. Now, Ekholm is in position, but he doesn't have a stick. So he can't get to where he would, where he'd probably have a stick down, maybe deflects it. Robertson, perfect deflection, low slot. You have no chance. So that one I don't really blame anybody for. It's unlucky the guy breaks his stick on a 5-on-3. But the first three, he kind of just gifted to the Dallas Stars. Forwards, defenseman, goalie. I know you have some people, it's all Stu Skinner. Well, you just keep showing yourself that maybe you're so fueled by anger that you can't see actually what happened around the play. Skinner I don't blame Skinner on the first goal. I definitely don't blame him on the second goal. I don't blame him on the fourth goal. Would I like to save in the third goal? Sure. Now everyone's going to say, yeah, but see, they came back. Now, would they have come back? Would Dallas have been better? I don't know. It's all what ifs. All I know is lots of players gifted them the first 3 goals. A combination of guys. And that's what cost them the game, the second period, which, funny enough, is the Oilers' best period. Did you know that the Edmonton Oilers have the best goal for differential in the NHL, plus 28, in the second period? 91 goals for, 63 goals against. And they gave up 3 of them last night. It used to be plus 31, even better. So it's kind of odd that the Oilers, soiled the sheets that bad in the second. I give them credit. They battled back. The other concerning thing for me, and this is why I like Corey Perry, because Corey Perry, I don't know if you heard him post-game or not, but so this is now 3 times their goalie's been ran here in the last week, and barely anything happens. Nothing. So Corey Perry was asked if he was okay with the no response to Rantanen. Rantanen clearly hit Skinner. There's no reason for Rantanen. I don't care. Well, it wasn't on purpose. It doesn't matter. You clipped your goalie in the head. Perry's response when asked, was he happy with the response from his team? No, I was pissed at myself. I didn't see what happened. I was on the ice when Rantanen hit Skinner, and that's on me. I should have never let that happen. I didn't see what happened. I saw Stu go down, and everyone was standing around. I didn't see till afterwards on the screen, and I was pretty annoyed at myself. I didn't pick it up originally. There's a guy holding himself accountable. I got to be better. Okay, great. Now, he was also asked about, have they done enough responding to hits on their goalies lately? Quote, we'll talk about that internally, which is code word for saying, no, I'm pretty annoyed and it's going to change. Now, this is eerily similar. Do you remember a few years ago, Evander Kane, it was early in his tenure, and I think the game was in Tampa Bay or Florida, one of the two. And there's a melee on the ice, and it's Evander Kane, and there's 4 or 5 of the opposing players, and it's like 5 seconds before any Oilers player came in. Well, Dave Manson went up one side and down the other in the dressing room after that and ripped on guys. And guess what? They became a better, more unified team. You got to stand together. And so I'll be very curious to see what happens the next time there's contact on their goalie. Now, someone might overreact and take a penalty. At this point, I don't care. You can't say, oh, you can keep hitting our goalie because nothing's going to happen. Like, there's no reason for Ranton. I don't care if it's an accident or not. There's no reason for him to be that close, skating right through. Knees the goalie in the head. And now Stuart Skinner obviously won't play. He wasn't going to play anyway. Pickard was going to start tonight, but Skinner didn't go on the trip. So Olivier Rodrigue's been recalled. Now, when you see emergency recall, you might be thinking, oh, he doesn't count against the cap. No, it's an emergency recall, so he doesn't count as one of the 4 recalls post-trade deadline. But he still counts on the cap because the Oilers have room. You know what? They could have moved down Derek Ryan. Now, if it was a roster emergency, where let's say the Oilers they didn't have enough healthy bodies to even send somebody else down to recall the goalie, then they could have done it. But that's why he's an emergency recall, and that has to do more with the limit of 4 recalls post-trade deadline. Now, the odds that they'll use all of them are pretty low, but they don't waste one because you need a backup goalie. So that's why it qualifies. They had to send Derek Ryan, reassign him to Bakersfield, so Rodrigue can dress. So the Oilers are going to dress 11-7 unless there's some miracle healing from Draisaitl, which I don't think. So I would expect it to be 11-7 tonight for the Edmonton Oilers. So your thought, to me, the good news for the Oilers is for long stretches of last night's game, I thought they really hemmed in and controlled the Dallas team. To me, that's a good sign. We said it yesterday, Cons, on the show. Like, results, yes, they matter. But how can the Oilers play without their top guns? For long stretches, they played pretty well. The problem was they had some major brain farts, and that cost them again.
Totally agree. First period, I tweeted it. Unfortunately, didn't age well. But if that's a team you're going to be playing like, and then you get the addition of McDavid, Draisaitl, Frederick, and Evander Kane, like, you might have something here. The second period wasn't great. Goals against, obviously, it kind of rocketed, and I heard it in the comment section. But I didn't expect the Oilers to win here. I predicted 4-2 with Robertson 2 goals. I was so close on my bold prediction yesterday. But I mean, that's a good Dallas Stars team. I thought the Oilers were going to be in tough. Liked what I saw in the first period. In the third period, I like their bounce back. Never give up. A few things I would have liked to see. Maybe more of an answer from the contact with your goaltenders. But overall, 4-3 loss. Say what you want to say about the Stars and how maybe they took the foot off the pedal. I don't really care. I thought that was a good bounce back performance. They fought to get back into it, and I didn't expect them to win anyways. So we'll see what happens here going forward. See what happens with Stuart Skinner and the goaltending position here. But all in all, no moral victories, but there were some good things that came from that game.
Yeah, obviously, they want points if you want to get home ice, and that might be too hard, but you've got some players playing better. Adam Henrique is playing better. Brown, Janmark, they're playing better. Now, they missed some really good chances. Like, nothing, when you got a great chance in the slot and you miss the net, to me, it's just a wasted chance. And that happened twice again last night, so it's not ideal, but they're not, that line I thought was pretty solid. All right, Nugent Hopkins' game has picked up as of late. That's good. And you hope that it all continues once McDavid and Draisaitl return to the lineup. And then maybe gets better when Frederick and Kane get in the lineup. Obviously not to the playoffs in Kane's situation. So last night, there's lots to like about the Oilers game. But and it was interesting because Matthias Ekholm even said before the game, you know what, I've liked our play lately, except we've given up still a few big ones. What did Connor Brown call them afterwards? Layups. The game layups. Right? You can't gift teams easy goals. Like, you go back and you watch that Wyatt Johnson goal. My God. There's no reason for that opportunity to ever arise. Ever. Even the Robertson goal. The second one. The first one, a little bit unlucky pass, sure. Fourth one, 5-on-2, 5-on-2.5. Not an issue. But that's 2 goals that really had no reason happening. And that's a problem. So 2:20, we'll return on the show today. We have lots to discuss, of course. Talk all things NHL with Ryan Payton. We got Thirsty Thursday coming up. Livingston will be by. We got Ian Furness will hear Seattle's side of things at 4:20. We got Spec. Steve Koulias will be by. We'll talk some MLB. I'm curious, like, the fact that the Dodgers spend so much and are the clear favorite, you think that's good or bad for baseball? I'm curious about the diehard baseball fans. Is it good or bad knowing that it's basically LA's championship to lose? And they're not afraid to spend money. So is that a shot across the bow to all the other owners say, hey, you're making all the money, start spending it? Because clearly the Dodgers don't have a problem with it. So what do you make of it? 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. Is it good when you have like a villain in a pro league where you're just like, oh my God, they're clearly the favorite. Everybody else, if they can beat them, it's a big upset. If they don't, well. I'm just kind of curious how baseball fans think of that. We'll return to the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Volvo Cars Edmonton invites you to their biggest sale of the year. The March showroom event is on now. Lease or finance a 2025 XC60 plug-in hybrid from 1.99% and save $3,500. Lease a 2025 XC90 plug-in hybrid from 1.49% and save $5,500. Lease or finance a 2024 XC40 plug-in hybrid from 0.49% and save $2,500. Don't miss the March showroom event at Volvo Cars Edmonton. Great vehicles, better service. Only at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com.
Play Alberta has hundreds of casino games right at your fingertips. Join thousands discovering why Fortune Coin is one of Alberta's most popular games. Fill your reels with golden coins, multiply your prizes up to 6 times, and turn good spins into legendary ones. Land the Fortune Coin symbol to win cash, trigger the jackpot, launch the free spins bonus, and watch as the dragon takes over your screen. New players get 100 free spins only on PlayAlberta.ca. Claim your offer today.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is the #1 heating and cooling company for people who want heating and cooling, because you'll save a bundle by bundling. Then you can use hot, cold, Come on, thermostat, do what you're told. Turn up the heat, turn up the cold till the vents start pushing out tornadoes. Bundle my furnace with some AC. Gonna get a new from Legacy. Oh yeah, save a bundle when you bundle your new furnace and AC from Legacy today. Plus no payments and no interest for 1 year. That's how you build your legacy. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
At Papa John's, you get your everyday favorites for just $9.99 each when you order 2 or more items from the Papa Pairings menu. When you order more, you save more. Choose from medium one-topping pizzas, boneless wings, papadillas, breadsticks, cheese sticks, and desserts. It's easy to order all your favorites when they're just $9.99 each. So the next time your friends come over to eat your food, check out the Papa Pairings menu to save. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's.
This is a slam dunk. Dive into Edmonton's vibrant basketball scene with exclusive interviews and expert analysis. I'm Paul Sir, and I host The Basketball Show every Saturday morning at 10 on Sports 1440.
The locks are on a timer. They're going to get out.
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Service team reporting. With the remarkable reach of our bucket trucks and other equipment, we assess, service, and maintain your electrical lighting and automation systems.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
A premier hockey solution with a clear path for long-term development is proud to be entering its 8th season of independent borderless hockey, featuring provincial and cross-province competition with showcase-style regular season gameplay and a strong commitment to individual skill development. It's an attractive option for those seeking family life balance. The Hockey Super League offers opportunities for both male and female athletes born between 2012 and 2017. Visit hockeysuperleague.com for more information.
Dang. Last season, you bought new clubs to fix your game. You spent the entire season trying to learn how to hit with your magic clubs. And guess what? Dang. They didn't help your game. Now you're convinced it's your swing, but it really is your clubs. Even though you were told the ones you bought were the best ever made, if they were, you would have gotten better. Every day at Fitted Golf, we continue to prove the right clubs make all the difference in the world. From beginners to pros, Fitted Golf makes all the difference. Yes, fittedgolf.ca.
The Gear Center, Hydra Steer, and Pat's Driveline are celebrating 50 years of trusted service. From automotive to heavy trucks and equipment, our certified technicians handle all drivetrain repairs, including transmissions, transfer cases, clutches, differentials, steering units, and drive shafts. We also offer a massive selection of top-quality parts from the brands you trust, both online and in-store. The Gear Center Group, 50 years strong, supporting Canadians who get the job done. 8 Alberta locations and online at gearcentergroup.com.
Spring melt is here, and with it comes the risk of flooding basements, foundations, and window wells. Keep an eye on excess water runoff and protect your home. Call Avalon Construction at 780-468-4400, home of the lifetime warranty.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Crystal Glass, your clear choice for residential windows, locally manufactured and installed. Crystal Glass provides a beautiful product and incredible customer services for all of your residential needs. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca for a quote.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.226, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Woo! Well, you know what? Spoiler alert. If you're recording the Jays game, turn it off for 10 seconds. That's your warning. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you are, you might just want to fast forward the first few innings. Not a good start for their home opener for the Jays. What are they down now? Is it 5 or 6-0?
5-0, just gave up a 3-run jack.
Ooh, nice.
Just so you know, Barrios last year actually wasn't too bad in his opener. They won 8-2. It was the year before where he was not good. So, yeah, 2 out of 3.
2 out of 3. He started 3 in a row. Yeah, not good. Hey, Gregor, the Oilers are the Scotties softies of the league right now from Yag girl Candace. Well, it's hard to argue with that, Candace, at times. To me, when you're not willing to stand up to your teammates, that's not a good look. So we'll see what happens moving forward. As Corey Perry said, that will be addressed internally. Very, very interesting. Let's go around the NHL, brought to you by McDonald's, and their biggest burger is called the Big Arch, made with 200% Canadian beef patties, delicious sauce, and all the McDonald's flavors you love. Get yours today at McDonald's. If you haven't tried the Big Arch, I'm going to tell you, I think it's their best burger ever. No joke. I think it's that good. Con man, I think you might agree with me. You won't be hungry. No, that's true too. That is very true. Ryan Payton from Sirius XM and Pucks in 7 podcast joins us. Ryan, how you doing?
I'm good. I was good until you talked about the Jays home openers. So the day's been spoiled now.
Yeah, well, there you go. It's not a good start. Hey, now they can always come back. We'll see. Not a great first 3 inning for the Toronto Blue Jays. Let's start. You got the Maurice Richard jersey in the background. So let's start with the Montreal Canadiens.
Mm-hmm.
They're 4-2-4 in their last 10, which it's okay. But they've moved. They're now with 12 games to go. They're 1 point up on the Islanders. They're 1 point up on the Rangers. They're 2 up on Columbus, 3 up on Detroit. So those 5 teams are going to battle for 1 spot. Now, I guess we can't completely rule out Ottawa because they got a 4-point lead. They'd have to really tank. So it's not possible. But you look at the Canadiens, they just got walloped by a Blues team that's rolling. So that might show the difference between the West teams and the East right now. But the Canadiens, when you look at their schedule, do you think they have enough to get in?
First of all, before we talk about the schedule, nobody seems to want that second wild card spot, at least right now. You mentioned Montreal, 4 wins and 10, 2 regulation losses, but the 4 wins and 10. The Islanders have 4 wins and 10. The Rangers have 3 and 10. Columbus has 2 and 10. Detroit, still in this thing, they're 3 points back. They have 3 and 10. So nobody seems to be running away with this thing. One of those teams, if they even went 6-4, 7-3 in the last 10, the cushion between that second and the third, fourth, fifth, etc. spots would be fine. My concern with the Canadiens, this is a young team. I've been happy with what they've been doing. I think this is a great step in the right direction for them, even if they don't get in. I think what this will teach them when it comes to maturity, some of the young guys like Suzuki and Caulfield, Lane Hudson, I'm a huge fan of him on the back end. I think it's going to bode well for them down the road in the future, but I just don't think they have the horses to get through to this final thing. Now, with that being said, do I think the Islanders do? No, but they always seem to hang around. Do I think the Rangers do? No, I don't. Columbus, probably not. So they're in a pretty good situation. If you look at the schedule that they have, as I'm pulling it up right now, they have Philly, this is a must, not a must win. This should be an easy win, Jason. It's got to be an easy win. Torts was let go. They were thumped the other night, of course, by the Toronto Maple Leafs. They get thumped too. Montreal did by St. Louis. So they have to win this one convincingly. And then you got Carolina, and then you have Florida to close out this month. And I'm not even going to look at the next month yet. So I think what they need to do, if they can get 4 out of 6 points, try to get 6. Yeah, that's the ideal situation. But if you can somehow get 4 out of 6 points against these 3 teams, 2 obviously tonight against Philly, which you should most certainly get, I think that'll bode well for them down the stretch. Toughest thing about this for me with these teams is that they're always going to be scoreboard watching, right? Like, what did New York do tonight? What did this team do? What did this team? You can't do that. I know it's tough. You're human. You're human. It's human nature. You just need to focus in on the game itself and try to get those 2 points. So this tonight it's a huge, huge one against a really bad team in Philly.
Oh God, the Philly is bad and
awful.
They fired their coach, who basically said, "You know what? I don't really want to do this job."
Would you?
Said, "You know, I'm not really interested in being in a situation," because Tortorella is a coach who coaches to win and wants to squeeze every drop of juice out of the orange every time. That's just how it is. And so he's better suited on a competitive team. And that's fine. I appreciated his honesty. And, you know, some would argue, I know Frank Saravalli on our podcast has said for years, he was not the right coach for where Philly was going because that's not his mindset. And it seems like 2 years later, they're like, oh, okay, he wasn't. Because last year you can argue they didn't get in the playoffs. They came close, but it didn't benefit them. All they did was get a higher draft pick.
Right. I agree with Frank. I've been on the side of, I don't think that was the right team. And I'll even go a step further than that. And it's easy for us to dissect coaches in the league and what they did wrong. And if they get let go as to the reasons why, it's easy because we're not coaching. We just look at it from an outsider's perspective. I think the NHL is not suited for John Tortorella anymore. And I don't think John Tortorella is suited for the NHL anymore. And what I mean by that is this is a much different game. He's not happy with a lot of the things. Remember all those, the Michigan goals that are scored against him or that he sees. There's no time for that in the league. All these young guys, they should be focusing on this. Well, you know what, John, with all due respect, again, you've had a great career. That's where the league is at. No, I'm not saying every game someone's going to try the Michigan, but that's where the league is. It's a young man's game, an old boy's game, if you will, because these guys are late teens, early 20s now that are dominating the league. I think the time's gone. I've said this for a long time, whether it's Philly, any other team that's in a developing stage, I just don't see him part of the NHL anymore. He's had a great career. I know he's been around a long time. He's shuffled between different teams. I get it, but I just think the league's different, Jason. I really do. And I don't think Torts is the right one for any team right now in the league.
Yeah, it's unique because some players, they love him. So you either love Tortorella or hate him. Kind of depends on where you're at. And, guys in Columbus like him. Now, do I think he has a shelf life? 100%. I think it's short-lived. But I could see a team who, like, there's going to be somebody this year in the playoffs who doesn't show up and maybe doesn't have a good series.
Yeah.
But they have a good team. They have a veteran team. I could see someone saying, you know what, Tortorella might be working for us. He's not good for a rebuild team. I would totally do that.
And if he said what he did, which he did the other night, which ultimately led to him being let go, I just don't think it was that one moment, though, because I know I said this yesterday, that I thought there were a few occasions this season where he was questioning himself. He said, oh, this is on me. I didn't get the team prepared and ready to go. And when you question yourself as a coach for a handful of times over the course of a season, that means one of two things, if not both. That means you're not getting prepped, you're not in the right spot, and secondly, the team's not responding. I'm with you. I can see a team doing that in a better position, but again, I'm going to just maintain the fact that I do think and feel that the league is much different. Tortorella likes coaching. You and I would like coaching a better team. That's just human nature. Everyone would like to do that. But I just think the game has changed so much, and I don't think he's adapted enough to make sure that he stays within the game.
Okay. And that, you know what? That's totally valid. I could see it.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of a guy, adapting, the Rangers style is awful to watch.
Do they have one?
Right. Like, it's so boring and passive at times.
Yeah.
If they don't make the playoffs, they're making a coaching change, aren't they?
Oh, they have to. They have to. And I don't think it's just even that. I think there's going to be major shakeups. And yeah, of course, you look behind the bench and you think about that first shakeup. From the get-go of this season, A lot of people, and I don't know if you were one, but a ton of people picked them to be at or near the top of their division. Probably a lot picked them to come out of the East. I know it's competitive with the Panthers and different teams like that. A lot of people didn't think Boston would be as bad as they were. But this team from opening night was not as bad on the ice as they started to show everybody. And they're still, I don't think, as bad. I think this is much of a mental thing with them. They don't have any confidence. The only reason why they're in a sniff of this thing still is because of Igor Shesterkin. He's the only reason why this team is anywhere close of being in the playoffs at the moment. But when you have that type of talent on the team, and I say this about coaching all the time, even goaltending, you put a good team in front of a goalie, and that goalie, if they're not already good, they become really good. You give me a good team to coach. If I'm not a good coach already, I become a good coach because of that good team. But if you don't have the structure, as you said, the style of play, I don't even know what it is. It's not the Rangers that we've seen before. They look absolutely not on the same page, in sync whatsoever. So yeah, they got to make a change because it's complete disappointment if they don't make the playoffs. And even if they do, Jason, they're not going to go anywhere.
No.
I mean, if they get in round one, they're done. It's one and you're in. And even then, people, well, it doesn't matter. This team needs to go further than 1, 2, maybe 3 rounds for the job to be saved for their head coach. So yeah, I'm with you. They're going to make a change. Even if they get in and they go on a tiny, tiny run, I think the time is done in New York.
Ryan Payton joins us. Ryan, you look around the league and it's, the New Jersey Devils, that's a team that I don't like the way they're going at all. They're stuck in third place. They're not catching Carolina. They're not going to get caught from behind. So, they're stuck where they're at, but I don't really love the direction they're going at all. The Maple Leafs, the Panthers, and the Lightning, though, to me is it's the most interesting division right now because you got 3 teams within 2 points. They've all got 11 games to go. They all have 35 regulation wins. This is very tight. Tampa Bay actually has the best plus 59 goal for differential, and they're technically in third place.
Yeah.
Who do you think's the best team?
Wow, that's a tough question. So if the Panthers didn't win the Cup last season, I wouldn't have them at the top. Tampa Bay, they've been playing very well, not as well lately, 5 wins and 10, but you're right, the goal for and goals against differential is much better than the other 2 teams. I will say this, based on maybe in the minority with this, I will say Toronto is the best out of those 3, specifically because of how they're built differently this season and because of their head coach and Craig Berube. This will be, and again, of course, the knock on Toronto, they can't win. Best thing about this postseason, Jason, is that they don't have to face Boston. So at least that's done. Toronto's no worries about Boston whatsoever and trying to get by them. That's fine. That's out of the way. But they haven't won since 1967. All this stuff has been continuing for a very long time. But I just think the way that they're built, if I were to pick out of those 3 teams, I'd pick Toronto being the best out of the 3. The goals for and goals against, completely different. I saw the other day where I think the goals for at some point last week was down by maybe 40 or 50 compared to a season ago, something like that. And even a couple of years ago under Sheldon Keefe, the team scored, I think, over 300. They're not going to get anywhere close to that. They're at 231. So that's not going to happen unless they go on a huge run winning 10-0 every game, which isn't going to happen. Yeah. But the goals against is a lot better. And they've got goaltending, something they haven't had. They have 2 goalies now, a 1A, 1B system, something they haven't had before. So I just think structurally, again, yes, based on the numbers in the last 5 years, Toronto has not been as good as Tampa and Florida. But there's something different to me about this team. So I'm going to say Toronto, then I'll say Florida, and then I'll go with Tampa.
Okay. Where do you come out on the orders?
The concern is the injuries. Certainly a lot more about that than I do. Well, we all do with McDavid and Draisaitl. They'll be fine at some point. If this was a lot closer to the playoffs and game 1 is around the corner, I'd be very concerned because how they go is how the team goes. How the team goes is how they go. And Skinner was hurt the other night. I'd maintain this. And again, I know I'm in the minority with this. I said this 2 months ago. I said that Calvin Pickard should be the number 1 goalie. He should start. Forget about the Skinner injury. Let's pretend that didn't happen. He should be the starting goalie for game number 1 against whoever they play. Looks like the Kings, at least for the time being, in round number 1. I just think that the next stretch of games that McDavid and Draisaitl are out, it's going to really determine for me what the team is going to be like in the opening round. And what I mean by that is they've got talent on the club. You got the Hymans, you got the Nugent Hopkins, got the Bouchards in the back end. I can go on and on and on. When the two top players on your team, two of the best in the world in the game, are out, this is a time where you need to shake that off and put some points. Get on a streak for the last, 9, 10, 11 games, whatever they have, and then carry that with you into round one. Because McDavid and Draisaitl, they took you to Game 7 last year in the final. Totally understand that. But this season's a bit different for me. It seems like they're carrying a lot more of the team than they have been before. I'm not sold on them. I'm really not. If they get healthy, if those two are healthy, I'll be better. But right now, for me, this next stretch of games, especially with their two top guys out, that's going to be telling for me to see how they progress and get into that first round.
Yeah, they probably have 2 more games without their top.
Right.
At least half of them. Draisaitl should be back by next week, I think, at the latest against Vegas. And then, but then the other wild card is you have Trent Frederick and you have Evander Kane,
right?
Who could come back in. And to me, the orders, like I know people mentioned Pickard, but Kevin Woodley was very quick to point out the only goal. Do you know which goalie has the best environment all season to play behind? Calvin Pickard. Yes, as far as like expected goals against, this is the safest, right? Because if you look at his quality of teams there's playing, and it's funny enough that Hellebuck and Vasilevsky are then second and third,
right,
after him. Which now they're great goalies. I find it interesting. People in Edmonton freak out at the goalie. Well, Stuart Skinner, he's an average goalie. He's not a great goalie. That's fine. He's an average. And the Oilers are 30th in odd man rush chances against 5-on-5 since January 1st, and they're 25th in high danger chances against. So they expect the non-elite goalie to stop more goals,
right?
On the type of goals that where do most goals in the NHL come off of? The rush. So if Edmonton's team defense wakes up, they'll have a much better chance. If it doesn't, I don't care who their goalie is, as we saw last year in Winnipeg. If you give up too much off the rush in the playoffs, even Hellebuck can't save you.
Yeah, I remember that too. One of the strangest comments too at the end of last postseason for me was when Hellebuck came out after that series against Colorado and he said, "Yeah, you guys will be surprised. I think I'm playing the best hockey of my life." Well, okay, if that's what you think it is, then that's fine. I'm with you with that. If you have structure in front of the goaltender, those numbers you said too, by the way, Jason, those are awful. Those are dreadful. The rush and the high danger chances. Yeah, I don't care who you put in goal. Even Hellebuck on that team, he's going to be hard pressed to stop those pucks. If they continue that, if they don't change that, if they don't change the defensive structure, I don't care, as you said, who you put in goal. Edmonton's going to find it tough to win.
Yeah. Lastly, if you had to pick an underdog wildcard team to win a few rounds, who would you pick?
Underdog wildcard team to win a few rounds, based on if the season started tonight, if the postseason started tonight?
Because there's so many teams that could get in, and you say, hey, if one of the East teams gets in, the West, right? Like it's St. Louis's spot to lose, I think, right now. But
I'm gonna go with Minnesota. Whatever path they end up going down, it's going to be very tough. And you mentioned the Atlantic Division. The hard part about the Central as well is that one of those really great teams is going to be out in the first round, which is, you don't like to see, even if you don't like Dallases and the Colorados or whoever, you want to see great players continue and you want to see good teams going on as much as you can. But I know that they're going to get healthy. Eric Sinek, Kaprizov, big fan of their goaltending. I like the structure that they play. I think they've been just quietly going about their business, just slowly putting up points. If it wasn't for the Avalanche and Dallas, who have been on a great run for the most of the season, this team would be in the second or that third spot in that division. I can see them extending some of those teams to 6-7 games. They'll be underdogs probably going in. But as of right now, if they were to begin the first walk, it would be Vegas going up against Minnesota. I can see it happening, Jason. I can see Minnesota getting by Vegas. Vegas is, they've been there all the time. That's all they do is win. Totally understand that. But I'll say Minnesota. I don't have anyone really that comes to mind in the East, but I'll take Minnesota as could be a little bit of an upset train if they continue on.
Ryan, thanks for this, man. We appreciate it. Enjoy the games. Have a good one.
Pleasure. Thanks, Jason.
Ryan Payton joins us. When we return, we're going to try something we've never tried before in Thirsty Thursday on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
At Hughes, it's all about getting in and out quick and clean. No cash, no problem. With Hughes' new tap and wash system, all you need is your debit or credit card to get your vehicle sparkling clean.
Find us at HughesCarWash.com.
We've finished construction of our gamma radiation containment facility. Is it up to code? Is it going to be safe?
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
testing team reporting. We test your commercial operations using tools like infrared to ensure safe operation. Trust us to prevent potential calamity before it strikes.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
At Papa John's, you get your everyday favorites for just $9.99 each when you order 2 or more items from the Papa Pairings menu. When you order more, you save more. Choose from medium one-topping pizzas, boneless wings, papadillas, breadsticks, cheese sticks, and desserts. It's easy to order all your favorites when they're just $9.99 each. So the next time your friends come over to eat your food, check out the Papa Pairings menu to save. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's.
Nuges Nuggets. This is Nuges Nuggets, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. What nugget of heating and cooling advice does Nuge have today?
You can save a lot of money by bundling your new furnace and AC with Legacy. It's kind of like saving money on an endorsement by bundling me, Ryan Nugent Hopkins, with someone like, Zachary Martin Hyman.
Thanks for suggesting me, Nuge. Get no payments and no interest for 1 year on your new AC and furnace from Legacy Heating and Cooling. Proud sponsor of Nuges Nuggets.
When you live in northern Alberta, you need a vehicle that is built for this climate. That's the all-new 2025 Jeep Compass, and you'll find it at St. Albert Dodge. Now, what can I say? It's a Jeep. It's a 4x4, so it's totally at home driving on snow and ice. And it's got some great standard features like an 8.4-inch touchscreen, keyless entry, and heated front seats. As I said, northern Alberta. And all starting from just $34,900. Head up the trail and see how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
The Alzheimer's Face-Off presented by Christensen Communities Limited hits the ice April 25th to 27th. This Edmonton-based tournament pairs hockey fans with some of their favorites from the NHL Alumni Association for a fun-filled weekend featuring a champions luncheon and tournament. Teams are already fundraising in the community, enabling the Alzheimer's Society of Alberta and Northwest Territories to continue providing help for today through free education programs and support services, and hope for tomorrow through research. For more information or to learn how you can get involved, visit alzheimersfaceoff.ca.
Are you tired of waking up tired? Are you tossing and turning all night and stiff and sore the next morning? If your sleep is suffering, it's time to visit the Brick Mattress Store. Their sleep experts will help you find the right support for a restful night's sleep. Back sleeper, side sleeper, hot or cold, there is a perfect mattress for you. Plus, with next day delivery, your best night's sleep could be tomorrow. Check out the Brick Mattress Store locations in Spruce Grove, South Edmonton, St. Albert, and Leduc, and start waking up refreshed.
Farm, ranch, acreage, or lake lot. They're here to help at Bashaw Concrete Products. Family owned and operated for 60 years. They continue to provide the best products and service, period. Call now for your free quote on the highest quality ready mix and gravel, a new septic tank, or an outhouse pad and tank, plus precast cattle water pads, garage sumps, and more. Call 780-372-3854 for prompt delivery. Bashaw Concrete Products, 780-372-3854. BashawConcrete.com.
Get ready, hockey fans. The Alberta U18 Tier 1 non-body contact provincials are coming to Edmonton's Meadows Arena March 27th to 30th. Watch top teams from Edmonton and Calgary face off in a showdown for the provincial championship. Thanks to the City of Edmonton Sport Event Hosting Program and our major sponsors, Wayne Lee Peak Performance Expert, MVP Sport Team Photos, and Sports 1440. Plus, thanks to Chalix Construction, Friesen Brothers, and GS Construction for their support. See you at the rink.
Portions of this hour brought to you by the Edmonton Oilers. Secure your spots inside Rogers Place for this year's Stanley Cup playoffs by becoming an Oilers full or half-season seat holder for the 2025-26 season. Visit edmontonoilers.com/season seats to join the pre-sale list today.
Tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Welcome back. Thursday afternoon, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. It is kind of ironic that today's the opening day of Major League Baseball, and we're having the winter storm. That's why, hey, you know what? In Alberta, we wait a little bit longer to get the baseball season underway. But you watch how many games in March and April get postponed in Major Leagues of Baseball. It's kind of crazy, especially with the weather in some of those places, and it is chilly. Now, Toronto, of course, you got the dome, so it's no big deal. But it is it's always ironic. It's nice to think positive And I know the snow isn't going to last, right? Some of it's already melting. It's pretty slushy out there, but it's not lost on me, the irony of Major League Baseball kicking off the boys of summer as the snow comes down rather heavily in Edmonton. Now, let's get to Thirsty Thursdays, brought to you by Sherbrooke. Of course, 2 locations, the original on St. Albert Trail and 118th Ave. And then on the south side on 92nd Avenue and 50th Street, if you want beer, you want wine, you want cocktails, you want non-alcoholic beverages, there's no better selection in the city than at Sherbrooke Liquor. And we are joined by, I think this is the first time we've ever had a sommelier on the show. Stephen Bazan joins us from Sherbrooke. He is a sake sommelier. Stephen, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me.
Now, how do you now, you don't have a robe on? I thought you'd be coming in as like a sake sommelier. You have like a special robe or something like that.
I know. I do have. It's called a happy. HAPPI.
You actually have one?
I do. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
What? Why are you not wearing it? That's a fail, man.
It
Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh, gee. So
let you down.
So it's almost because like I remember when my mom got her doctorate and we went to the UBC at her ceremony. And I don't know if you ever remember the Flintstones and the Grand Poobah, and they had like the whole cloak. And I was like, God, like, I don't know if I want to go through all the years to get my doctorate, but that was unreal. So to get the sommelier, obviously you only get it when you graduate, I assume.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. So I got accredited through the Sake Sommelier Association,
which
is based out of London in the UK.
Okay.
So yeah, they actually approached us. They found out about Sherbrooke through social media and found out about our sake selection and found out it was one of the best in Canada. So they directly approached us and said, like, can we put you through the training? So I'm like, yeah, of course.
So what's the training go? How do you become a sommelier of sake?
So it's basically a weekend course. It's nothing too in depth, but within those 2 days, you pack in a lot of information. So you go through all the cultural aspects about sake, the history, and then really in depth into the technical brewing side of things. That's sort of the first half. And the second half is about tasting, knowing all the different styles of sake, how to present them, how to serve them, all that sort of stuff. So once you go through there, you take a test, and if you pass, you become a sake sommelier.
So if somebody doesn't present sake properly, does it lose its flavor? So what are some of the errors people are making? Like, you can't just go buy sake and then just pour it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the things about sake. I feel like, and the more I talk to our customers and people that come in the store, people are learning about sake. It seems like people have always had kind of a negative sort of introduction to it. They've had the really, the really hot sake at a Japanese restaurant or something. It's served in like a little cup.
Yeah, it's like tea almost.
Yeah, and those are more traditional ochokos, they call them, that are served in little cups. More standard is to actually serve sake in a wine glass. So a lot of the premium sake that we carry in the store, it's best in a stemmed wine glass. That is usually the best way. But depending on the situation, depending on the context, there's a lot of tradition, a lot of history. So there would be different vessels that would be more appropriate to serve it in.
Is there non-alcoholic sake?
Not in Alberta. There's versions of it that exist in Japan, but they don't really get exported to Alberta.
Okay.
Yeah. So they tend to be really, really sweet, almost like a creamy, like they're really thick too. So sort of more like a milkshake.
Okay. So now you brought me, I've never had sake in my life.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like a sake virgin.
Oh,
so
amazing.
this will be the first. So what exactly is it a rice wine? Is that correct?
That's sort of the common way to think about it. It's a bit misleading though. So I think another one of the misconceptions, people try to put sake in a certain box. Like they think, like, is it more like vodka, a distilled beverage? Because sometimes they shoot it. It comes in the little glass. Or is it a rice wine? Is it beer? So the best way to think about, just scrap all those. Like, sake is its own thing, 100%. And the best way I like to think about it is it's actually produced more like a beer in terms of the ingredients and the fermentation process. And it's very, very similar to beer. The one exception being the addition of koji, which we could talk about that after too, if you like. So there's that. But then, so once it's done brewing, you enjoy it more like a wine. So you just sip it. It's more delicate, nuanced. Pair it with food.
Okay, so I've got 4 here, and I notice they go from lighter to darker. So the first one, honestly, like if I look at it, I'll put it on camera for those. It literally looks just like clear. Like this almost looks like water.
Yeah, most premium sake will be clear. There's certain styles, and you'll see as we go along that might have a little color to it, might be a little hazy. So what this is, the first one is called a Hanjozo style.
Hanjozo. I just like the names.
Yeah, yeah. So that is, and like I mentioned before, at Sherbrooke, we have we specialize in premium sake. So it's not the really cheap, harsh stuff that a lot of people get exposed to at first.
Okay.
So Hanjozo is a style of premium sake, and they add a little bit of distilled alcohol to it, which is, it's not meant to make it stronger. What it does, it adds to the texture, makes it a little more aromatic.
It almost, I just took it almost tastes like a mixture between a wine and a cocktail, right? Like it doesn't, wine, I find, especially white wine, has a little bit of an aftertaste to it, at least for me. Like maybe the premium wines, I'm not that big of a wine guy, but this one is definitely like, it's very smooth. There's not a ton of like real, like catching taste to it.
Yeah. And that's a trademark to the Hanjozo style too. It's very, very clean, very delicate.
All right.
It's very versatile too. So we're tasting this a little bit chilled, but you could have this one at room temperature. You can heat it up.
Is it better chilled?
I prefer it chilled.
Yeah. I know. I get it.
Chilled or slightly room temperature.
Okay.
With sake, it's all personal preference too. So just experiment, try what you like, and different styles will show different flavors.
Okay.
Temperature.
Now, what's the second one? Then this one. Now, see, this one looks a little bit darker, not much though, but very similar.
Yeah. So this one, the style is called a Junmai Daiginjo. Is the style.
It's part of the course to be a Somali is just to know how to pronounce it properly.
That's a huge part of it. Yeah. And that's certainly one of the more difficult parts. Yeah. So this one, you'll see, and I don't want to get too nerdy with everyone and get too in depth, but basically, so a Daiginjo style is a very light, it's more fruity. You get more sort of notes of apple, pear. Yeah. This one's a little bit unique though. It's sort of a newer school of sake. And you notice like a little bit of tingliness or a little effervescence, little bubbliness on the palate.
Well, the one thing I noticed for sure, like I like it better than the first one, just because I find now I'm a rookie. I find it's a little bit more flavorful.
Yeah. So this one is, so all sake goes through different pasteurization methods. This one, it's very, very lightly pasteurized, and they bottle it right after it's filtered during the brewing process. So what that does, it gives this lively carbonation to it. And actually different vintages of this one might be super, super sparkly, like more like a champagne, or they might be a little more subdued like this one. But this style is becoming more and more popular for modern drinkers.
Okay.
And it's a style that doesn't ship that well from Japan, so we don't get a whole lot from there. But this is a very special one, probably my personal favorite sake at the moment too. But yeah, you just get this fresh liveliness and nice fruity notes to it.
All right. Yeah. So now we go to this one, which, if I was just pulled up at your house and I saw this, I'd be like, oh, this is going to be white wine. Because this looks, just in the glass, it looks like white wine.
Yeah,
the color,
there's a little golden tinge to it.
Yeah.
Sort of a light amber.
Oh, now you put your hand behind the glass to look through it. Is that what we should all be doing?
Yeah, or you could have like a white sheet of paper is helpful too. That gives you an idea of what the color is.
Oh, okay.
And then just like you do a wine tasting or a beer tasting, you look at it, you could give it a little sniff.
So if we're out with the fellas and we want to look a little bit more refined, we should put our hand behind our beer glass. What are you doing? Well, I'm seeing the color of it. Okay.
Yeah, you want the full experience.
Guys, just remember that. We always want to look smarter. Okay.
Yeah. So this one, you'll notice right away, it's sort of a different style than the first two. The first two were more delicate, more light. Yeah. So this is actually one of our more popular ones.
Well, that one almost like definitely seems like, okay, there's some alcohol in here. I taste a little stronger.
Yeah, a little stronger. And this one served a little closer to room temperature. And this is what you would call a Yamahai style. Yamahai.
Okay.
So with that, it's a more traditional method of brewing sake. And without getting too much into the technical details, what you get is a sake that's way more earthy, way more like almost mushroomy. You get that umami, that sort of savoriness to it.
Okay.
So, and it's with all sake, it goes so well with food. I would argue.
That's what I was going to be in my, like, is there certain food, like do fish, is it chicken, is it meat, red meat? Does something go better with sake?
The thing with sake, and I mentioned koji before, which is sort of a type of mold, and it's really what makes sake unique and special. And that produces some amino acids, which gives this sort of umami character, which goes really, really well with food.
Okay.
And what it does, sake is a little more forgiving. There isn't as tight rules as with wine or beer when you're doing pairing. Like you could explore and try different things, and usually it'll work out really well because what sake does is just enhance the flavors of any food. But that being said, this one that we're having right now is way more robust and rich. So I would have this with like barbecue.
Okay.
I have this with a steak. And a lot of people gravitate towards just having Japanese cuisine when they have sake,
okay.
which is great. It obviously goes super, super well with it. But what I want to coach people and to introduce people is just having like sake and pizza is like unreal.
Really?
It's like the best pairing.
Sake and pizza.
Yeah, just like a greasy.
I'm going to guess 90% of our listeners have never had sake and pizza, maybe higher.
You have to do it. You have to try it. Yeah.
I might have to try it. Just to say, what did you have to? Well, I had pizza and sake. Very refined. Right?
Very
We're
refined.
much more
Yeah.
regal when
Yeah.
we have pizza and sake.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So now what's the last one here? This one's a lot. It's kind of like a hazy.
Yeah. So this is hazy. So this is you'll see it's a creamy color. It's a style they call a nigori. But this one's so a nigori is a coarsely filtrated sake, so you get some of the rice particles and the different raw ingredients make its way to the final product. So that's where you get the.
Oh, that one's my favorite by far.
Yeah. So this is like it's just all sake is made with rice, water, koji, yeast. This is no different, but you'll notice it's especially when you take a sip, it smells a little bit different. But when you sip, it's got that zesty lemony, almost like a pina colada pineapple sort of character to it.
That was easily my favorite.
Yeah. So and this one's a little less alcohol. It's 6%, whereas most sake sits around the 15 or 16.
15?
Yeah, the ones that we tasted are in the 15 to 16% range.
Geez, they can sneak up on you pretty quickly there. So now this last one, what kind of sake is this one?
So it's called a nigori.
So if you came into Sherbrooke, I just say I want nigori sake.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have a little subsection within our sake cooler.
Okay. I'm just gonna vote. For me, it would be the nigori.
Yeah, and this one too. So they use a different type of koji, and that's what gives it that lemony, acidic zestiness.
Now,
it's a unique bottle. You really won't find anything like this.
Would the nigori go good with pizza?
It totally would. I would have this one with like spicy chicken.
Spicy chicken,
spicy
because it would dull the spice a bit.
Yeah,
maybe
and
afterwards,
it would just bring out the spices a little bit more. And this is a good dessert sake.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, it is. It's amazing the different tastes from four, right? Like significantly different tastes. The third one was definitely the strongest. And what's the third one? What was that one?
So that's a Yamahai.
The Yamahai. So that's the one that you the Yamahai with pizza.
More barbecue,
more barbecue,
like red meats, that sort of thing.
And then the first two, similar to me. The first one was the smoothest. It was almost like, I can just drink this, and there's not a ton of taste.
It's really really delicate. As you get to taste more, you pick up on the little nuances and different things, but.
So because we got a lot of texts coming in, people wondering. So if they come and they want to try sake the first time, what's the best way to present it?
I would go with this first one that we did, like go with a Hanjozo style.
Okay.
It's the reason being it sort of has all the different elements of sake in one package, and it's all balanced. So you get a little bit of the fruity flavors, a little bit of the riciness, a little bit of the umami, and it is so versatile. Like I said, you can pair it with any food, serve it at any temperature. So if you try this. And it's a good gateway sake. Like if you absolutely hate it, like we could try other ones and see what you like. But it's a good sort of entry point. And if you like certain aspects of it, then we could go beyond that to different styles.
And sake really is if I'm having it and I'm hosting, it's like one or two glasses, right? Like you sit down and like, I don't know, like beers, some people will end up having 3. I might have 8 beers. Are you having 8 glasses of sake, really?
Not really. And sake, culturally, it's a beverage you want to share with people. So you always pour everyone like their own little glass. And that's why traditionally it's served in a kind of a smaller vessel. Okay. It's meant to share in smaller quantities. And you can, once you open a bottle of sake, you could put it in the fridge. And it's still good 3 to 5 days.
3 to 5? Yeah, so it stays better than wine.
But it does. It develops different sort of characters and flavors too. So that's another special thing about sake.
I look at now I'll be honest, like I've tried lots of different wines. These taste very different than white wine to me for sure. Red wine's obviously going to be very different, but
and there is That's why calling it rice wine's a little bit misleading.
Very
It
misleading.
really you have to change your mindset and just approach it as its own thing and explore all the different styles. And there's such a rich history to it. Like this first one that we had, the really clean, easy drinking one. It's a brewery that was established in 1548.
What?
Yeah, so it's been around, centuries, lots of history to it.
Back when Connor Halley would have been the tallest human being. So 1548. I like it.
Yeah, it's wild.
Well, Stephen, that was fantastic, man. I learned a lot about sake. Of course, the thing I like a lot about Sherbrooke is when you come in there, all the staff working knows a lot about. So if you want to come in there and they'll be like, hey, I heard about the sake. Now, which ones do I want? The Nagori is probably more of the dessert wine.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then this one was the strongest. What was it called? What's that?
So that one's it's called a Yamahai is the style.
Yamahai.
Tangumai is the brand name.
Tangumai.
Yeah.
I just like the names. I just want to come in when I have it. Tangumai.
It's fun. Yeah, we could go through the whole selection.
Yes. That's awesome. Well, Steven, thanks so much, man. We appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
There you go. That was our sake sommelier from Sherbrooke. Liquor, you want to stop in, trust me, they have everything. They got sake, of course, beers, wines from all over the world, cocktails, non-alcoholic. They got a massive selection of non-alcoholic. I actually had the Sober Carpenter non-alcoholic beer last Saturday because I was going to a party and I just wanted to have one. It was actually really good. The can is, and honestly, the can's why I bought it. It's this green can, but Sober Carpenter was very good. Let's get to the con, man. Sports 1440 update brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, where the rates never change. No overtime charges. That's how you build a legacy at legacyheating.ca. I'll go dump these and then you can take them with you. Yeah, sure. Okay.
It is game day. The Edmonton Oilers back in action tonight on the road in Seattle, taking on the Kraken. Calvin Pickard gets to start between the pipes. This one gets going just after 8 o'clock. That means our pregame coverage with Andrew Walker and Donovan Paulson gets going at 6 till 8 o'clock. Elsewhere in the NHL, got the Maple Leafs and the Sharks. Avs taking on the Kings, Stars, and Flames. Preds host the Blues. Wild in Minnesota. Flyers up against the Canadiens. Utah travels to Tampa. Red Wings host the Sens, and the Penguins in Buffalo. In the association tonight, Spurs taking on the Cavs. Magic host the Mavericks. Pacers in Washington. Lakers travel to Chicago. Thunder host the Grizz. You got the Kings and Blazers, as well as the Rockets taking on the Jazz. Major League Baseball season underway. Toronto Blue Jays in action right now. Top of the 6th. They trail the Orioles 6-2. Elsewhere, Yankees have a 2-1 lead over the Brewers. Scoreless between the Nationals and the Phillies. Red Sox, Rangers tied at 1 apiece. Reds lead the Giants 3-2. White Sox up on the Angels 3-0. And the Braves have a 3-2 lead over the Padres. Later tonight, Tigers taking on the Dodgers. Diamondbacks host Chicago. Cubs and the Athletics battle the Mariners. And men's NCAA rolls on tonight at 5 o'clock. You got Alabama taking on BYU at 5:39. Maryland meets Florida at 7:39. Duke takes on Arizona, and at 8:09 to wrap it up, Texas Tech up against the Arkansas Razorbacks. Coming up in hour 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, we will be joined by Colin Livingston for another edition of the Can Torque Racing Report, and we'll head down to Tampa, talk some lightning. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
Volvo Cars Edmonton invites you to their biggest sale of the year. The March showroom event is on now. Lease or finance a 2025 XC60 plug-in hybrid from 1.99% and save $3,500. Lease a 2025 XC90 plug-in hybrid from 1.49% and save $5,500. Lease or finance a 2024 XC40 plug-in hybrid from 0.49% and save $2,500. Don't miss the March showroom event at Volvo Cars Edmonton. Great vehicles, better service. Only at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com.
At Papa John's, you get your everyday favorites for just $9.99 each when you order 2 or more items from the Papa Pairings menu. When you order more, you save more. Choose from medium one-topping pizzas, boneless wings, papadillas, breadsticks, cheese sticks, and desserts. It's easy to order all your favorites when they're just $9.99 each. So the next time your friends come over to eat your food, check out the Papa Pairings menu to save. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's.
Play Alberta has hundreds of casino games right at your fingertips. Join thousands discovering why Fortune Coin is one of Alberta's most popular games. Fill your reels with golden coins, multiply your prizes up to 6 times, and turn good spins into legendary ones. Land the Fortune Coin symbol to win cash, trigger the jackpot, launch the free spins bonus, and watch as the dragon takes over your screen. New players get 100 free spins only on playalberta.ca. Claim your offer today.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is the #1 heating and cooling company for people who want heating and cooling, because you'll save a bundle by bundling. Then you can use hot, cold, hot, cold. Come on, thermostat, do what you're told. Turn up the heat, turn up the cold, so the vents start pushing out tornadoes. Bundle my furnace with some AC. Gonna get a new from Legacy! Oh, yeah. Save a bundle when you bundle your new furnace and AC from Legacy today. Plus no payments and no interest for 1 year. That's how you build your legacy. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
My utility bills are going through the roof. How can I take advantage of the sun and put my lazy roof to work?
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Energy team reporting. When you're ready to make your home or business more efficient, Action Electrical has the power to install solar panel systems and EV chargers.
Facing an electrical menace? Call on the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta with supercharged skills and strong family values. ActionElectrical.net.
If you or someone you care for are injured in a motor vehicle accident, please listen up. I'm Grant Fedoruk from Leading Edge Physiotherapy, and let me proudly say that we won't be the place your insurer tells you to go. We won't be the place because we don't sign agreements with the insurance company. We don't work for them, we work for you. We do want to be the place that your friends, family, and other medically trained professionals send you. So if your insurance company says that you have to see their therapist, you should know that's not true. You have the right to choose where you go, and we hope you choose us. LeadingEdgePhysio.com.
Get ready, hockey fans. The Alberta U18 Tier 1 non-body contact provincials are coming to Edmonton's Meadows Arena March 27th to 30th. Watch top teams from Edmonton and Calgary face off in a showdown for the provincial championship. Thanks to the City of Edmonton's sport event hosting program.
Well, Steven, thanks so much, man.
Oh, my Lee Peak
There you go. That's you're listening to Jay.
Photos and Sports 1440. Plus, thanks to Chalix Construction, Friesen Brothers, and GS Construction for their support. See you at the rink.
Portions of this hour brought to you by RV Wars. RV Wars is back. Multiple dealers all battling for your business, clearing out the last remaining 2024's pre-tariff pricing. Don't miss out on an incredible deal. Visit rvwars.ca for details.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Welcome back, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. How are you doing? Hope you're having a wonderful Thursday. The Gregor Show is always presented by PlayAlberta.ca. You know what would make your Thursday even better? The Daily Grand. Every day for the next 20 years. You'll get $1,000 a day. $7.3 million. 365 days a year. You'll wake up knowing you have $1,000. Just think about it. How glorious would that be? You could still work. Lots of people wouldn't even know. Right? Because that's maybe the only negative about a big windfall sometimes. Everybody knows you won. This way, it's just like, you know what? I'm humming along, do. Maybe change jobs. You're probably a bit less stressed in your life. Think about how much better it'd be if you had $1,000 a day. You'd have to work really hard to spend $1,000 a day. Now, you could probably waste it. You could save up and go on different things for sure. But after a while, I'd be like, geez, this is just good, man. Less stress. So get your tickets at PlayAlberta.ca. Good luck. I'd love to win the Daily Ground. Just for the email that I assume it's an e-transfer every day. Heck, even if I had to go pick it up, I'd be willing to do it. Although I guess after a while, I get annoying. But I'd be like, hey, e-transfer it every day. Right to the old trusted bank machine. Most people, you have your banking on your phone now. Ka-ching, you get a little note. It has been deposited. Thank you. That'd be great. The Edmonton Oilers. Hey, They're looking to make a deposit tonight in Seattle, where they've deposited a lot of goals. They've outscored the Kraken 28-13 in their last 6 visits to Seattle. They've won them all. The Oilers have actually won 9 consecutive games anywhere against the Kraken. And a victory tonight would make it only the 5th time in franchise history, first time in 33 years that they've won 10 consecutive games over the same opponent. So it's been a matchup that's worked well, with or without McDavid, with or without Draisaitl. And they'll be without them tonight. And the Oilers, of course, got a win on Saturday against the Kraken. We will see some lineup changes tonight. Calvin Pickard is going to start in goal. Stuart Skinner did not go on the trip after he took a knee to the head last night from Mikko Rantanen, which means he might be out a week, which means he might not play again on Saturday. We'll see. Olivier Rodrigue has been recalled from Bakersfield. Now it's an emergency recall. He'll count against the cap, but he's an emergency recall, so he doesn't count as one of the 4 recalls that you're allowed after the trade deadline. You're just playing safe. Maybe there's a rash of injury and you need to recall players. That's how they'll do it. So there you go. Hey, Gregor, who was the team 33 years ago? That was the Quebec Nordiques, who are now the Colorado Avalanche. From 88 to 92, the Oilers won 11 consecutive games against them. The record is 14 in a row against, back then it was the Jets, then Arizona. I guess now technically defunct franchise because Utah's a new one. But 83 to 85, 14 in a row against the Jets. 83 to 87, 13 in a row against Detroit. And 10 consecutive wins against the Canucks in 85 and 86. So obviously those are in the heyday of the Edmonton Oilers. So pretty big accomplishment if the Oilers can get the 10th win against the Kraken. Seattle still has some injury concerns of their own. Chandler Stevenson is not going to play tonight for the Kraken. The rest of their lineup looks like Wright with Eberle and Schwartz, Beniers with Kakko and Nyman, McCann with Burakovsky and Tolvanen, Hayden with Cartier and Esimont, Dunn, Larson, Evans, Montour, Alexiak, and the local product, Josh Mahura. And Decord will get the start in goal for the Kraken. They've allowed 13 goals in their last 3 games. They lost all 3 of them, one coming in overtime. And the Oilers with LA in Colorado tonight, and the Kings have struggled there, as Dennis Bernstein told us yesterday. The Oilers, they're 2 back of LA. The Kings do have a game in hand. So an Oilers win tonight and a Kings loss, they're tied. Now LA would have a game in hand, but it keeps them in that in the race. And that's what I've said. They got to win. I still believe they got to win 2 out of 3 this week. You stay close to LA, then you get Draisaitl back. Then a little bit later on, you get McDavid back. And then eventually you'll get the debut of Trent Frederick. If the Oilers can stay close, then they'll have a chance. And ideally, you'd like to get home ice advantage. When you look at home ice advantage recently, really in the playoffs overall, but definitely in the first round, it's gotten more important. In 2022, 2 of 8 road teams who started on the road won the series. 2 out of 8 won it in 23. 1 out of 8 won it in 24. So only 5 of the last 24 have the team who started on the road won the series in the first round. Now, the Oilers did win 2 starting on the road in the second and third rounds last year. It's definitely doable. I'm just saying, it's difficult. So you're the Oilers now. Whether it's home or away, I still like them against the LA Kings, especially when the Oilers are fully healthy. I just think they match up better against LA. It won't be easy by any stretch of the imagination. But Edmonton will be very confident. They know how to play. Now, LA plays a little bit different style than the last 3 years when they were sit back and play passive all the time. That obviously didn't work. So the Kings had to change their style. You have to. You can't just keep banging your head thinking it's going to be the same thing. But when I look at the Oilers, especially if you have Kane and Frederick alongside a healthy McDavid and Draisaitl, I still think they will be a tough out. Tough out. Hey, Gregor, if Pickard stands on his head tonight, does he get the start on Saturday even if Skinner's good to go from Drew? Maybe. Well, I think there's a good chance he gets a start anyway. If Stuart Skinner's, you got to, usually when you're in concussion protocol, if they're deemed at that, you're out a week. So I'd be very surprised whether Pickard plays great or whether he struggles. I think there's a really good chance he'll start Saturday against Flames. Skinner didn't even go on the road trip. Now, some would argue, hey, they don't have to send him. You can send Rodrigue just to be overly cautious, sure. But they did have to send Derek Ryan to the minors, and they're going to go with 11 forwards tonight. So it's not ideal. Now, Ryan's played, 7 and 8 minutes the last 2 games. So you go with 11 forwards. Now, you're going to have some guys who are going to play more minutes than they're used to. Now, I'm curious, though, tonight, Connor. Do you think we see a defenseman? Do they get the Jason Strudwick? Does the D-man get a shift at forward tonight?
Well, if you listen to some of the textures from Fantasy Frenzy, it should be Darnell Nurse or Evan Bouchard. I don't think so. I'm going to say no. 11 and 7.
Darnell Nurse. Oh
We've had some fun suggestions on that program. Someone mentioned that Wallman did it back in the day with Detroit. I don't think you're taking him off the blue line. So I personally don't think I would do it. I know, depth is tough up front right now with all the injuries they have, but I think I'd probably go 11-7. What would you do?
I'm going to go 11 and 7. I'm not, you know what? If there was a shift I had to, I think the guy that I would probably try is Troy Stetcher, to be honest. I'm not mixing with the guys who are never going to play there. And I don't think any of them are going to play there ultimately long-term, but I might do Stetcher for a game, quick on the forecheck. I mean, not for a game, but for a shift if I had to here or there. I am kind of curious. Are we going to see, I had said it earlier. I thought Emerson was playing regardless tonight. He sat out 4 games. I think that's enough for him. So he'll get back in the lineup. But I wonder, does Stetcher stay in, or do they give Klingberg and Emerson the 6-7 slot tonight? So that's something to see. Hey, boys, if the Oilers get up by 4 in the third period, do you think they would put in Rodrigue just to get his feet wet? I know that they did it with the backup goalie, right?
Berlin.
The E-Bug. And that to me is a little bit different because, that's a player that wasn't on an NHL contract. He was never going to get that opportunity. Olivier Rodrigue is somebody who, they feel like, hey, this guy is eventually going to get a chance, hopefully. So I don't know. It's not a bad idea, maybe with 10 minutes to go, but I'd probably be a little surprised if they did it, to be honest. I'm trying to think the last time a team. Now, if you're up or down, I know you put the backup in lots of times, but usually it's when you're down, not necessarily when you're up, because they just don't want to. They don't want to give up a 4-goal lead in 10 minutes time, right? You just don't. And I know it's unlikely, but it's not impossible. So I would probably lean towards no. And you're not going to do it for 2 minutes, which is what they did with the E-Bug, right? So I don't see it happen. Hey, Gregor, didn't the Oilers beat the Senators like 12 times in the COVID year? Nope, they did not. If they did, then I would have mentioned it. But I think they had a stretch where I think they won 7 or 8 against the Senators, but never double digits. They might have got to 9. They only have to look to see if it was 9 in a row, but it was never double digits. So there you go. 3:23. We'll take a quick break. I'll come back with a playoff push and more on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Mr. Ruther checks off his bucket list. Skydiving is tops on my list.
I want to go to Bali.
What's at the top of your bucket list, Mr. Ruther?
Definitely the Rubbermaid H2864R. It has 14 quarts of capacity with a spill-free pour spout and a corrosion-resistant handle. Wow, what a bucket.
You know that a bucket list isn't a list of nice buckets, right?
I do. That's how good this bucket is.
For a plumber with buckets of plumbing passion, call Mr. Ruther.
I'm Colin Livingston, president of Cantork. Since 2016, we've been at the forefront of hydraulic torque wrenches in Canada. I'm delighted to share our latest venture, in-house production for quicker turnaround, superior quality, and heightened versatility. Experience excellence at cantork.com.
With the lead up to the playoffs underway, players are definitely stepping up their game.
And the fans are doing the same. Simple snacks like chips and dip may work at the front half of the season, but now more and more fans are rocking the Wilhauk beef jerky for game time get-togethers.
Just make sure you bring enough for everyone if you want to be invited back for the playoffs.
Make your next hockey game day a Will Hockey game day with Wilhauk beef jerky, only available in Leduc. Get yours today, because you don't win games with salad.
There's one. And another. No, not spring flowers yet, but rather huge deals. It's GMC's Truck Month at Wolf GMC Buick. Nab 0% financing up to 72 months on our most popular Sierra half-tons, or massive discounts starting at $8,000. Choose your truck from a great selection, like the fabulous all-new Canyon, right up to the trailer-hauling Sierra HD with the industry-leading Duramax diesel. Spring into Wolf GMC Buick today and snag your truck, and see the savings at wolfgmcbuick.com.
Experience more at the Edmonton Expo Center. Come for Canada's largest trade show, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. Stay for the experience. But it doesn't end there. Maximize your brand exposure with Edmonton Expo Center's new cutting-edge feature screens, spanning Western Canada's largest venue space. Captivate an annual audience of over 1 million visitors during iconic events like Pro Rodeo, Disney on Ice, Glow, K-Days, and so much more. To learn more, call 780-660-0514 or visit edmontonexpocenter.com today.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
Well, get ready for a silly hockey fans. Your partner in power just skated onto the ice.
EWEL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the power play 24/7, 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at EWEL.ca and win that project.
Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
Spring cleanup is a breeze with the Lawnmower Hospital and Echo Pro Attachment Series. With one power head and 16 different attachments, the Echo PAS powers through almost any spring cleanup job. And speaking of power, Echo now has a battery-powered power head that uses the same attachments as gas. Find out how commercial landscapers can save 20% for 24 months with the Landscaper Fleet Discount Program. See lawnmowerhosp.com.
The Lawnmower Hospital.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Sherbrooke Liquor. Sherbrooke is a house of curiosities, a mom and pop, a curated experience that is equal parts wine tasting and 2 floors for May long. See more at sherbrooke.liquor.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Well, see if you have a good feeling tonight. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Declan Cougar running things online at Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Stay safe on the roads. They're a little bit not as slick maybe as they were this morning, but definitely with the heavy wet snow, it can be it can grab you. So take a little extra time. Please turn your lights on. Get home safe. Now, let's get to our playoff report, playoff push, brought to you by Alberta GMC dealers. Truck month is on now at GMC. Get a $5,000 cash purchase credit on 2025 Sierra HD models. Learn more at gmccanada.ca. As Eric Erlinson joins us, a longtime beat reporter for covering the Tampa Bay Lightning. Eric, welcome back to the show, my man. How you doing?
Good, Jason. How are you?
Oh man, I'm pretty good. It is quite the dogfight in the Atlantic Division right now. Tampa at 87, Panthers, Leafs at 89. They each have 11 games left. They all have 35 regulation wins. I still like Tampa Bay's team a lot. Do you think finishing first matters that much, or does it matter most to Toronto because they've had the least playoff success?
Well, I think it matters to whoever finishes in first because that means you avoid one of those two other teams in the first round. I mean, that's what it comes down to. It could be Ottawa, it could be Montreal, it could be somebody that you would face as opposed to Toronto or Florida. And that's not any sort of a slight towards, anybody else who's going to finish in wild card one. I just think it matters to whoever finishes first because you avoid facing one of the favorites in the first round. I mean, that's what it comes down to. I mean, these three teams are very evenly matched, and you're guaranteed that at least one of them is going to be out in round one. So I think I know you have to go through anybody and everybody to get to where you want to go anyway, but I think if you could avoid that matchup in the first round, I think that's what matters. And I think for Tampa, and sometimes these things get thrown out the door when it comes to the playoffs, but their home record is so much better than their road record. They've got 25-8 at home, and they're under 500 on the road. And I know the playoffs are a completely different season, and I've even used the example that in 2015, when the Lightning won 32 home games, they had a losing record on the way to the Stanley Cup final on home ice. So figure that one out, moving forward. But so I think finishing first matters just to avoid a matchup with the other team.
Yeah, that's fair. And it is interesting. Tampa's kind of like the LA Kings of the East right now. They're dominant at home, not nearly as good on the road, but it doesn't really make any sense. Like it's not like John Cooper is suddenly, changing everything when his team goes on the road. I know he has last change, but I don't watch nearly as many Tampa Bay games as you do, but it's not like I see him chasing matchups on home ice.
Well, the Cirelli line he does, and the McDonough-Chernak defensive pairing he does, but the rest of it doesn't really matter to him because, Cirelli's going to get McDavid on a matchup. Cirelli's going to get Barkov in a matchup. He's going to get Matthews in a matchup, and same thing with Chernak and McDonough. But everybody else, they feel comfortable with really whoever they throw them out there against. And, and Cirelli and Hagel are such a good defensive pair. They make the other line play in the offensive zone a little bit more as well. We've certainly seen that a few times here of late. So that's the matchup that they want. And certainly you can get that better on home ice. But it's funny. I tried to ask John Cooper this morning why there is a difference between their home record and the road record. And he didn't really have an answer for me because he said, their analytics and their advanced numbers all show that they should have a better road record. So I wish I had a good answer. The only thing I could think of is that their third pairing on defense is probably their weak spot right now.
Okay.
And as you know, that kind of stuff gets exposed more on the road than it does at home. That's when the matchups maybe come more into play.
Yeah, and that's fair. They finish this month with 2 home games against 2 non-playoff teams in Utah tonight. Now the Islanders are battling for their lives, so that'll be and they kind of in an odd way they have a home and away against the Islanders starting Saturday, and then they start a 4-game road trip in Long Island. They do have 2 of their last 5 games, once against the Leafs, one against the Panthers, both on home ice, and that might come down to who gets it or not. What about Vasilevsky and his starts? Now, the last few years, Tampa Bay has had a shorter season than what he's used to after they went to the Stanley Cup 3 years in a row. And you know what? He's fully healthy now. But Cooper ever talk about that? Are we going to see him, rested might be a strong word, but does he maybe only play 6 of 9 in the month of April?
It probably depends on how things are looking for them. And they obviously have these conversations a lot with him. And what we've seen with how they manage his load, not necessarily his games load, but his workload is, like the last couple of games, he's come out for a morning skate and he's off after about 5 minutes of work, right? So he's not out there a little long. They've had a third goalie, whether it's the E-Bug that comes in or they had Halverson out there the other day who was still in town after the weekend. So they'll do that. He'll take a morning skate completely off. He'll take a practice off. So that's kind of how they're managing, the work that he does, just so, you don't have to put on the equipment and the mental grind of even just putting on the equipment, so often and not having to go out there and face shots as often. I mean, that's the thing. I think by the time we get to it, he's probably going to be about 60, 61 starts. It might be a little bit higher than they had hoped for than normal, but sometimes Vazzy dictates that too, right? And sometimes they got to save him from himself, and sometimes they do that. Other times they'll kind of give him some rope and let him do what he kind of feels more comfortable with.
Eric Erlinson joins us. Eric, when you look at Toronto, obviously still now, I know it's different and they've changed a lot of things, but at the end of the day, until their big guns show me that they can be better in the playoffs, they're still the team I'd rather face if I was the Tampa Bay Lightning, whether it's Florida or Toronto. Do you agree, or is there something about the Florida matchup that intrigues Tampa Bay?
Honestly, with those 2 teams, it's pick your poison, right? I mean, look, when the Leafs beat the Lightning in the first round a couple of years ago, Austin Matthews had a couple of huge goals in that series, right? There was a game they were down 2 goals, I think, in the third period, and his goal kind of spurred that comeback, and they ended up winning it in overtime. And certainly there's that narrative for sure. But I can tell you, every time the Lightning play the Leafs, William Nylander is the most dangerous player on the ice. You feel like he's going to score a goal every time he has the puck on his stick. He's been that good against the Lightning. And then you look at Florida, not the same team that won a cup last year. Certainly a lot of the guys that left through free agency and the cap and everything, but, they fill those holes with Seth Jones, and, we'll see what Brad Marchand looks like. And, how healthy is Matthew Tkachuk? So you kind of look at it in that aspect as well. I mean, honestly, I don't think there's one matchup is better than the other. Whoever it happens to be, whoever that 2-3 matchup in the Atlantic is going to end up being, it's going to be a very difficult first round. And those teams that end up losing are going to have to answer questions that maybe not be fair because you just ran into a really good team. It's the same thing if Colorado and Dallas face each other in the first round. One of those two teams is out, and whoever wins might go on to win the Stanley Cup.
Well, considering it's been a Florida team over the last 5 years, right? I understand they want to keep that trend going. What do you make of the Capitals right now? How are they don't seem to be getting a lot of the respect, despite they really haven't had a blip all season long.
Yeah, they're one of the highest scoring teams in the league, and they've been one of the better 5-on-5 teams in the league. And I know there's so much attention, obviously, on Alex Ovechkin and chasing down Gretzky's record. But they're a team that's greater than the sum of their parts, right? They have the star, obviously, in Ovechkin, but Logan Thompson, nobody saw the kind of year he's having come along. Alexei Protas has been, a fantastic season for them. John Carlson, Jacob Chychrun has been fantastic for them. They just kind of go about their business. They're a hard team to play against, I think, is what has happened to the Capitals this year. They've scored some goals. They've gotten a couple of career years out of guys. And their record reflects that. But as we know, and we certainly know it very well here in Tampa Bay, it doesn't matter what you do in the regular season. You're going to have to answer for what you do in the postseason. And, they're going to win the East, and they're going to have the number one seed in the East. And they're probably going to have a favorable matchup in the first round. They'll actually have an easier path to get into a conference final coming out of the Metro Division than whoever comes out of the Atlantic. But they are a team that just makes you work. They don't give you an inch of space on anything. And if you're going to score goals against the Washington Capitals, you're going to have to earn them.
Yeah, well, the Capitals don't seem to have a big weakness overall, but we've seen it before, right? Everything changes in the postseason, right? Like it's a new world, and you got experience, and the goaltenders don't have a ton of playoff experience. Obviously, Florida and Tampa Bay have a big advantage there. What do you make of Stolarz in Toronto and Wall? Do you think, should they do what Boston should have done 2 years ago and rotate guys, or do you think they'll go with one guy in Toronto?
I think when you get to the playoffs, you got to have one guy and see how they do, right? I think that has to be the way you kind of go into it. And, we've seen Stolarz here a couple of times this year when the Lightning and the Leafs have matched up. But I know Joseph Wall plays well every time the Lightning play against him. He came in a couple of years ago when the Lightning had a big lead in the first period and ended up stopping 32 shots. All 32 shots he faced in relief, he ended up stopping. So I just believe, though, that when you get to the playoffs, I think the team needs to have a belief in one guy. You trust both guys, but I think there needs to be a belief in one guy. And whether that's Stolarz, whether that's Wall, whoever they pick, you're going to have to ride with them. And as long as they don't, completely blow themselves up, that's the guy you have to stick with. You can spot a guy here and there. You think back to Carolina in 2002 when they had Urbe and Kevin Weeks, kind of came in and Weeksy kind of helped them in that conference final, but it was Urbe was the guy, right? So I think you just have to have one guy and stick with them and have your belief in them.
Eric, lastly, Hagel, since he's come to Tampa, man, I remember when that trade happened and people were freaking out. Oh my God, I can't believe what they gave up. And Tampa Bay, Brisebois has shown he's never scared to make a big move. Now they all don't work out. Jeannot never became the player that they wanted, and that's fine. You move on. It didn't crush them, but Hagel has definitely become that guy. Even the trade for Sergachev, they bring back McDonough. It's worked, and I loved Brisebois' response. Hey, I'm here to win. I want to win. I'm not worried about having a boatload of draft picks at all. It does mean that you need your second and third and fourth round picks to pan out for sure. But what do you kind of make of the aggressiveness there? And has Hagel exceeded expectations?
He has definitely exceeded expectations. And it's funny, people will give Julian more crap for the Jeannot trade than they will give him credit for the Hagel trade. Even though one has, Hagel's turned into an all-star caliber player, but people don't want to look at that. They want to look at the quote unquote mistake that they made. But for Hagel to be now a 2-time 30-goal scorer, a huge part of the penalty kill on this team, his chemistry with Anthony Cirelli. I mean, everybody saw it on the Four Nations and what they mean to each other. They're such a dynamic duo. that push the pace. They both have the same sort of relentless approach to the way that they play the game. So Brandon Hagel has definitely exceeded expectations, and that's a great find by their scouting staff to, find a guy like Hagel and identify what he could be, and he's turned into it. As far as what Julian does, I mean, he's bold. The only year he has not made some sort of a move at the trade deadline was 2019, right? That was the year they tied the then NHL record in wins, and he felt that group deserved the opportunity to finish that job. Didn't turn out so well. Has been bold ever since. He's not afraid to move draft picks. And you see really a lot of insight into the way he goes about managing this team with the comments he's made the last couple of years about the core of this team deserves the opportunity to win as many championships as possible while they're here. And then you hear the statement this year, I'm trying to accumulate as many good players as I can. I don't really care about the draft picks per se. Obviously, every team needs draft picks, but he's not afraid to move those draft picks to bring in good players he feels can help this team win. And usually when he does it, the players have term, right? Hagel still had a couple years left on his term. Coleman and Goodrow both still had a year left on their term. Bjorkstrand this year has a year left on his term. So he doesn't bring in guys as rentals for one playoff run. He tries to bring them in for a couple just to give the Kucherovs, the Points, the Vasilevskis, the Hedmans, these kind of guys the opportunities to chase more pucks. And you do that by surrounding them with as many good players as possible.
Eric, great stuff, man. We appreciate it. Enjoy the stretch run. April should be fantastic when they got some head-to-head matchups between the Panthers, the Leafs, and the Lightning to see who gets that coveted number one slot. Appreciate your time.
Yep, it'll be a lot of fun. Thanks, Jason. I appreciate it.
Eric Erlinson, Lightning Insider, joining us here on Sports 1440. When we return, who would have thunk it that quick? We talk a lot in sports, like, did you fire the coach too fast? Did you fire the GM too fast? 2 games? Now, what was the quickest an NHL coach got fired early? I think, was it 5 games? I think it might have been 5. Ken Hitchcock got fired once after 7 games. 2? Oof. Seems really quick. We'll discuss it next on The Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Volvo Cars Edmonton invites you to their biggest sale of the year. The March showroom event is on now. Lease or finance a 2025 XC60 plug-in hybrid from 1.99% and save $3,500. Lease a 2025 XC90 plug-in hybrid from 1.49% and save $5,500. Lease or finance a 2024 XC40 plug-in hybrid from 0.49% and save $2,500. Don't miss the March showroom event at Volvo Cars Edmonton. Great vehicles, better service. Only at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com.
It's getting free all season long. Can you believe it? Looking for an enjoyable and affordable family night out? The Spruce Grove Saints are excited to introduce their Kids Get In Free program. All kids 12 and under receive free admission for every Saints home game this season. Bring the entire family for action-packed junior hockey at a fraction of the cost. For more information, check out sgsaints.ca.
Blue Jays baseball is back on Sports 1440. This Saturday and Sunday, listen live to the broadcast of Canada's favorite team. Proud to be the home of Blue Jays baseball. We are Sports 1440.
Introducing the new McSpicy from McDonald's. It looks like a regular chicken sandwich, but it's actually a spicy chicken sandwich. McSpicy. Consider yourself warned. Limited time only. Participate in McDonald's in Canada.
RV Wars hits the north side March 27th to 30th at the Old Lowe's building. Go RV, Vision RV, and Arcan RV have joined forces for RV Wars. Take advantage of pre-tariff pricing on travel trailers, fifth wheels, motorhomes, and more. The last of the 2024 models are being cleared out. Make no payments for 6 months OAC. Now is the time to buy with special discounted finance rates. Free admission with a donation to the food bank. RV Wars this weekend on the north side. 9603 165 Avenue. Visit rvwars.ca.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is
On the Rocks.
Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
Metal Supermarkets is locally owned, locally operated. They love this city and serving its people. In fact, they're as Edmontonian as dodging potholes in the spring. It requires a steady hand and extreme focus. Ironically, the same skills for cutting metal to your precise measurements. Now, could someone please give me a yee-haw? Thank you, sir. The local convenience stores for Southside, West End, metalsupermarkets.com.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Culligan. For all your residential water needs, your local water treatment company. More than just big bottles, Culligan.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Hope you are having a lovely Thursday. It's a slushy out there right now. Not as slippery as it was this morning. Slushy, obviously, probably overnight again. It'll get a little bit slippery. So stay safe, stay calm, give yourself a little bit of space, and we'll be ready to roll. Now, let's get to the racing report. Speaking of slushy, racing report brought to you by Cantork. They offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at Cantork.com. As we're joined once again in studio by Colin Livingston. And Colin, 2 races. Like we talked about coaches getting fired quick, but Liam Lawson gets 2 races in Red Bull, and he's dropped. And Yuki Tsunoda will now replace him. You had like Pierre Gasly was dropped after 12 races. Alex Albon came in 21 races. Alex Albon was actually dropped after 26. Then it went to Sergio Perez. But that seems like a lifetime. What do you make of this decision? Lawson out, Tsunoda in?
It's tough to argue that Liam performed very well at the first 2 races. Obviously, he didn't. But you have to take a look at Red Bull as an organization and understand that they didn't do anything to help him out. They basically promoted him from the junior team to the big team. It was done fairly, like kind of over a barrel with the fact that they had to buy Perez out last year. Perez ended up, depending on how you want to look at it, my opinion is Perez ended up costing them the constructor's title last year. Verstappen won the driver's title, did all right. Perez didn't score any points towards the end of the year. Like, he was basically a non-factor. He crashed a lot. He, was knocked out of Q1 multiple times, hardly ever got out of Q2 towards the end of the year. This is a driver, though, Perez, who evolved with the car. He got to spend years there. He had success with Red Bull, and his performance really started to fall off. With someone like Lawson, he never got the chance to do anything. When you look back at how he got thrown to the deep end, when they signed him, of course, they said, we know what this kid is capable of. We see what he's doing already in the junior team. We know, we've taken a look at the data. We know what this guy's going to do. They didn't really test him a lot in the offseason. They didn't put him in they didn't give him the miles in the previous cars, which they're allowed to do under the TPC, the testing of previous year's cars allotment. Like Kimi Antonelli, it's reported for Mercedes, did over 9,000 miles. He had over 60 test days in the offseason leading up to this year. The kid did lap after lap after lap. He was prepared. He knew what he was getting into. Lawson got to go to Bahrain in a car that they had to shake down over 3 days, and then he got thrown to the wolves. The problem was that the two tracks that he's raced at, being Australia at Albert Park and then Shanghai, he'd never even been to these tracks. Aside from running laps in the simulator, he had no experience. And what's really crazy is that he's got a massive amount of experience at the next track the series is going to go to, which is Suzuka in Japan. But they just made this decision. It's really, really shady. You know, I'm really reluctant to use terms like unfair or he didn't deserve, because in racing, it really doesn't matter. But when you sign somebody and you promote them, you're outright saying, if you don't say it, you're implying we've done our research. We know that this is the best candidate. And if you're going that far out onto a limb to say that this is your driver, what does it say when you pull him out after 2 races and you don't really give him a chance? And even Max is struggling in the car, aside from having a little bit of success in the sprint race, finishing second to Lewis. Max is not setting the world on fire. So the car is not great. And if Max is struggling in the car that's designed for Max, you know, somebody who's never driven the style that he does is going to be lost. Like, we've talked about it before, whether you're a racer, you're not a racer, the only way to kind of best explain it, how Max likes his car, is really, really, really front end dependent. And it's super, super sensitive in the front end. Like, if you take the sensitivity of the mouse on your computer and crank the sensitivity all the way up so that when you barely move the mouse, the mouse pointer is jumping all over the screen. I don't like that in a car. I don't like that as a mouse. That's kind of how he drives, is very little steering input with very, very extreme steering output. It takes a long time for people to get used to this, and they just didn't give the kid a chance. It's really disappointing. It's cruel. It'll be funny. I don't wish, either one of the drivers ill, because they're just drivers. They're doing what they're paid to do. It's going to be really cool to see Yuki in, the top seat in his home Grand Prix, not this weekend, but next weekend. But it would be hilarious to see Lawson finish ahead of either one of the Red Bulls in the junior car.
Well, yeah. Well, that would be funny. Yeah. But what do you think? What about Yuki and changing cars? Like, how big of a change is this going to be for him?
It's going to be huge. He's at least had the benefit of testing last year's car a handful of times. Like, he ran the test at Silverstone. He's done some tire testing. But whether he can have success is a different story. Like, doing test laps is very different from race laps. And once you're in, where it counts, it's like, you and I have been on the driving range together, and we hit, we crush 5-iron after 5-iron after 5-iron and melt drives on the driving range. And all of a sudden you put your peg in the ground on the first tee and you can't get out of your own shadow. That's what happens with drivers. Now, these are, highly skilled professionals. It'd be great to see him do well, especially in front of his hometown crowd, but he's not just going to jump in and light the world on fire. Again, this car is built for Max Verstappen, which is another thing that the team should be looking at, is that when you customize the thing that much to one driver's very unique skill set, you can't expect somebody else to be able to just jump in and match, because nobody really drives like Max does. He's the best at what he does in the way that he does it. The only driver that they've really had in the other seat that gave Max a run for his money is Danny Ricciardo, but Danny's days are long gone.
No, well, yeah, he's not coming back anytime soon. Now, looking ahead now, what differences did you see in race 2? Because you said, hey, race 1, don't go crazy over it, but obviously Red Bull didn't listen. They made the big changes after race 2. Did you see anything in the second weekend that has your interest peaked for what we're going to see in race 3?
Yeah, I mean, getting to see Lewis, win a pole and win the sprint race on Saturday was very cool. Getting to see Lewis and Max run 1 and 2 was very reminiscent of 2021 and the years leading up to it. Ferrari has a lot of work to do with their radio communication. So we talked about it after the first race. There was a lot reported that Lewis was kind of chippy at his engineer, and the engineer was doing a few things that Lewis didn't like. I watched last weekend's race twice. So I watched it once on F1 TV. I watched the broadcast version of it, and then something didn't quite sit right with me, and I watched the race immediately after, just from Lewis's onboard camera. So when you watch from one driver's perspective, you get the unedited radio broadcast. And it was really strange that the team doesn't validate what the driver's doing, and the engineer doesn't really offer any words of encouragement. He was just giving information. Like, he would tell Lewis to try a certain thing, and then whether it worked or it didn't, they never validated it. They never said, like, okay, whatever, try mode 6. Lewis didn't really say anything, and the team never said anything back to him. But I shouldn't say big, because compared to what's going on now, it was, moderately insignificant. But during the broadcast, they kept talking about how the team wanted Lewis to switch positions with Leclerc. And it was really strange the way it happened. But when I watched from Lewis's standpoint, it was actually Lewis's idea to swap the cars, because he said, like, I'm really struggling with this. I'm probably going to let Charles by. A couple of laps go, and they said, okay, we're going to do the car swap now. And he's like, well, hold on, I'm starting to catch the guys in front of me. Let me see how this plays out. And then they came back to him a couple laps later and said, okay, well, we're going to do the swap at turn 13. He said, guys, I'll tell you when we're going to do the swap. But they only broadcast the last 2 messages. They didn't broadcast the first message where Lewis actually presented the idea with these guys. So that was really strange. From my standpoint and my personal belief, again, I work as a spotter, and part of my job, no matter what's going on the track, I believe it's to keep my driver focused on what they're doing. And that's, the engineer, they're not watching over the driver's shoulder like we do, but they've got all the telemetry. They know exactly what the driver's doing. If he changes a switch, if he hits a button, they know exactly what's going on. So to be able to tell the driver, like, look, we saw what you tried there. It's obviously not working. Try this instead. Or, we know it's a long race. Just get us to the pit stop, but keep pushing. You're doing a good job. Those are things a driver's never going to complain about, but you kind of keep your driver focused. And what was really strange is Lewis complaining about, really, really fighting oversteer. I watched him go through the turn 13 complex onto the back straightaway, and you could, every lap, he's having to short shift as he starts coming out of the corner, because if he didn't, he was going to lose the back end. He was driving with a cocked steering wheel as well. So I think he got a bit of damage from the contact he made with Charles on the opening lap. But yeah, I mean, they're going to get it figured out eventually, but the end of the day, Lewis was DQ'd because his car was underweight. Charles' car was DQ'd, or Lewis, they had too much plank wear. So they have like a piece of wood on the bottom of the car to prevent you. Like, you basically have,
it prevents it from scratching on the surface all the time, right?
Basically what it does is it's an indicator to let you know how many times, like how low you're running the car. They don't want you to run the car on the ground, because that's a dangerous thing. I think he was 0.5 millimeter too low on the plank wear. Charles was underweight and Pierre Gasly was underweight. So, these
that's a pretty major mistake, is it not? How you underweight?
You under fuel, for one. So, they try and run the least amount of fuel possible. Charles maybe didn't get enough pickup, but I think they probably, like what happened to George Russell last year at Spa, I think they probably planned to run a 2-stop race, then decided to switch it to a 1-stop. So their second set of tires overwore. He didn't do enough pickup. I mean, I don't think he could have picked up enough tire marbles, but the drivers, Max, Charles, a bunch of these drivers were driving into the grass on their in lap to throw mud on the car to get that extra weight. So they knew they were close, but this is a miscalculation. They should have known better. Realistically, it's inexcusable because they ran a sprint. So they ran 20-ish laps on Saturday. They knew exactly how much fuel burn they'd have. They'd know how much tire wear they had. So like that's incompetent is too strong a word, but it's pretty unforgivable to make those mistakes. Lewis's, though, that's a strange one because, they've said that they made the wrong setup adjustment after the sprint. They wanted to try something to get better, but they went the wrong way. By the time they made the adjustment, they couldn't go back. So it'll be interesting. I mean, Japan's just such a fun track.
Yeah, it is good. Now, speaking of bad tracks, let's end on IndyCar.
Okay. Yes.
And basically, it's like it's a private track. Like they didn't even have 5,000 people in the stands.
No.
To sit there. The broadcast, there was a loss of power, so it wasn't even broadcast for 15 or 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much that had to do with the if they had the power there, but I can't remember the name of the track they're racing at, but like they used to do like exhibitions there, and they decide, oh, this is good. It would be like an NHL game for anybody who's a non-racing fan. You're going to play an NHL game at, let's say, the Ardrossan Arena.
Kind of. It would almost be more like taking two NHL teams and turning them into roller hockey, because it's not really the same as normal hockey.
Sure.
They were at Thermal Club. Thermal is a private test track where, the track is surrounded by these multi-million-dollar homes. When you live there, you buy a garage at the private facility. These are people who have, Lamborghinis, Ferraris, McLarens, very, very high-end street cars, and they can go out onto the track and they can do what we call lapping, where they get to open these cars up where they can't do it on public roads very safely and have fun. But lapping tracks are different from race tracks because they flow. They're designed to let you go fast through corners, to carry on to straightaways, to open it up, where a racetrack has hard braking zones. Hard braking zones is what turns into passing, and that's what we didn't see a lot of at Thermal. The only passing that really happened was when a team was on new tires against somebody else on old tires, or they had good red tires versus black tires. Lots of issues with the hybrid unit, which the series definitely has to look at because it is far from perfect. And watching these amazing drivers with these great cars race in front of no people is just bad. I mean, IndyCar is getting paid. The people who own that track are obviously paying significant amount of money to get the series there. So you can't fault the series for cashing in while they can, because cash is king when it comes to racing. But the maximum seating capacity, the maximum allowable capacity on the grounds for spectators was 5,000. I'm really guessing they didn't sell half their tickets, and the two grandstands were only like 5 rows tall. They could maybe hold 1,000 people, and at best they were half full, maybe less than that. You could see a bunch of people walking around, but it was a really boring race, and it's a shame because Indy is such great open wheel racing, whether they're running on an oval, road course, street course. They put on a great show. So hopefully they can grow past this.
2.5 weeks though until I get back. It's only going to like a little too long of a break. We'll see. Colin, we will chat with you next Thursday.
Look forward to it.
Have a good one. That's Colin Livingston joins us every Thursday here in the Race Report. Let's get to the Con Man Sports 1440 update, brought to you by Fountain Tire. They're here to take care of your vehicle and your wallet. Up until April 26th, you can save up to 25% off tires and get a $120 mail-in rebate on a set of 4 select tires. Book your appointment today at fountaintire.com. Some restrictions apply.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
The Edmonton Oilers have recalled goaltender Olivier Rodrigue from the American Hockey League on emergency basis. The move comes after starting goaltender Stuart Skinner suffered an injury in the third period of the Oilers' 4-3 loss to the Stars last night on a collision with Dallas Stars forward Mikko Rantanen. Oilers taking on the Kraken, and Calvin Pickard gets the start. Puck drop 8 o'clock. Pre-game coverage here on Sports 1440. It's going at 6 with Andrew Walker and Donovan Paulson. Elsewhere on the NHL tonight, got the Sharks and the Maple Leafs, Kings in Colorado, Flames hosting those Stars, Blues travel to Nashville, Flyers taking on the Canadiens. They'll do so without head coach John Tortorella after he was fired this morning. The team will have Brad Shaw behind the bench on an interim basis. Lightning hosting Utah, Sens take on the Red Wings, and the Penguins in Buffalo. In the association tonight, starting at 5 o'clock, you got the Cavaliers and Spurs, Mavs taking on the Magic, Wizards host the Pacers, Lakers head to Chicago, Thunder host the Grizz, Rockets in Utah, and the Kings meet the Trailblazers. Major League Baseball officially underway today, opening day. Not ideal for the Blue Jays. Top of the 8th, they trail the Orioles 12-2. Elsewhere, Yankees on top of the Brewers 4-1. The Phillies have a 2-1 lead over the Nationals. Yankees and Red Sox and Rangers, tied at 2 apiece. Pirates up on the Marlins 4-2. White Sox lead the Angels 3-0. Guardians on top of the Royals 4-3. And the Mets trail the Astros 3-0. Later tonight, Tigers in Los Angeles to take on the Dodgers. You got the Diamondbacks and the Cubbies and the Athletics in Seattle. March Madness rolling on tonight. Sweet 16 action has BYU meeting Alabama. Florida takes on Maryland. Arizona up against Duke, and Texas Tech taking on Arkansas. Coming up in hour 3 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll ask 5 questions and talk some Seattle Kraken with Ian Furness. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, Stingray Radio Station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
People are always curious about what GS Construction does. They know it's something to do with construction because it's in our name. But our work at GS Construction isn't just about the projects we do. It's about people. This season, you'll see GS Construction improving underground infrastructure in the places we call home. So we're looking for crew members to work with motivated and friendly team members. Sound like you? If you want to join a team that cares about the community, your community, visit gsconstruction.ca and apply today.
Play Alberta has hundreds of casino games right at your fingertip. Join thousands discovering why Fortune Coin is one of Alberta's most popular games. Fill your reels with golden coins, multiply your prizes up to 6 times, and turn good spins into legendary ones. Land the Fortune Coin symbol to win cash, trigger the jackpot, launch the free spins bonus, and watch as the dragon takes over your screen. New players get 100 free spins only on playalberta.ca. Claim your offer today.
This is going to make you hungry. Booster Juice just dropped new guacamole and black bean grilled fresh options.
What the guac?
Yeah, a guacamole black bean wrap, guacamole chicken panini, and an egg and chipotle black bean wrap.
What a trio! Holy guacamole!
Bye-bye, boring as bread sandwiches.
Guac, yeah! New flavors, new cravings.
Avocado up to wraps and paninis from Booster Juice. Canadian-born, blending since 1999. Download the Booster Rewards app and order one today.
The Alzheimer's Face-Off presented by Christensen Communities Limited hits the ice April 25th to 27th, pairing hockey fans with some of their favorite players from the NHL Alumni Association for a fun-filled weekend in support of the Alzheimer's Society of Alberta and Northwest Territories. Friday features a champions luncheon followed by the teams hitting the ice on Saturday and Sunday in a friendly hockey tournament at Terwilliger Rec Center. To purchase a table to the champions luncheon or to learn more about how you can get involved in the tournament, visit alzheimersfaceoff.ca for more info.
Explore beyond the boundaries of capability and value during Truck Month. Right now, get 0% financing for up to 72 months on the 2025 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab Pro Graphite. With a TurboMax engine delivering 310 horsepower, GMC Pro safety features including automatic emergency braking, plus a max towing of up to 9,500 pounds. You'll be ready for anything this Truck Month. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
Spring melt is here, and with it comes the risk of flooding basements, foundations, and window wells. Keep an eye on excess water runoff and protect your home. Call Avalon Construction at 780-468-4400, home of the lifetime warranty.
I'm Rick Showers from Noble RV, and if you look outside, you'll notice it's not exactly RV weather, but it is time to get your plan together. Our busiest time for spring startups is coming in just a few weeks. So if you want to be ready for May long weekend, you should really book your time right now.
A lot of people wait for warmer weather to book their spring startup.
That's right, Bob, but we're booked weeks in advance for the most popular startup times. And if you've been putting off any small repairs or fixes, this is the right time to get that taken care of too.
You don't want to spend another season with gutter butter leaking down the side of your RV.
No way, Bob. Our used RV maintenance crew will get you ready to roll for the first camping weekend of the summer. And all it takes is a little thinking ahead and some TLC from our service experts. Because the best time to go camping with your family is the minute you feel like going.
And that's no bull.
NobleRV.ca.
At Fountain Tire, success is a team effort. They're committed to their team members and their customers. And that means treating your vehicle like it's their own and finding solutions that suit your needs. Because whatever the road brings ahead, they're on it with you. Visit fountaintire.com today.
Japa Machinery Group knows that XCMG may not roll off the tongue, but Japa's team will help keep your construction jobs rolling on time and on budget with heavy equipment sales and rentals. Visit japamachinery.com to find out more.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Action Electrical. They're the most diversified electrical contractor in Alberta with 4 divisions in project, service, tag, and solar for commercial or residential. Contact them today at actionelectrical.net.
Tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Or 11, welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Orders Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Oh, my goodness. Oh, it's the old Simpson one. Throw in the towel. He's dead. Stop it. This is brutal if you're a baseball fan. Brutal. I won't even say the score for you because you might be watching the game later, but I would just fast forward it if you're a Blue Jays fan. I'll just say that. Welcome back to the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Alberta's only regulated online gambling website where 100% of the revenue stays right here in the province of Alberta. PlayAlberta.ca. Coming up later on this hour, we got Ian Furness will join us from Seattle. The Oilers look to go 10 in a row against the Kraken. They're 12-2 all time in the 14 games that they met, but they have won the last 9 against Seattle. And they've had a lot of success in Seattle. They lost their first ever meeting in Seattle in December of 2021, but since then have won 6 straight and outscored the Kraken 28-13 in those 6 games. So we'll see. And a few of those times it's been the second half of a back-to-back, and they've played quite well. So we'll see if they can continue it. There was long stretches of the game last night where I thought they played quite well, and then they just shot themselves in the foot. Like, some of the mistakes they made were just like, what? We've talked about this before. This is always been somewhat of an underlying issue on the identity of the Edmonton Oilers. They can gift you goals, maybe better than any other team. Like, if you go back and look at the first goal last night, the Oilers had 3 guys in the neutral zone. The Stars had 1 guy up at the close to the offensive blue line. Derek Ryan inexplicably changes. No one comes on. Corey Perry moves out of the middle of the ice, floats over to the right side where Bouchard already is. And that just allows the Stars cross ice pass. Ben then pushes it in the middle, and Johnson comes in all alone. Go back and watch the play. When the play started in the defensive zone for Dallas, Johnson was at his blue line. Derek Ryan was near the center ice line, and Corey Perry was at center. And they both vacated it. And that allows Johnson to just skate right up the gut, basically wide open. Like, how does that happen? It's stunning. It was a stunning multiple errors that were made by some veteran players. And then Ekholm on the third goal. Well, even the second goal, Ekholm goes to glove it down. It got a little bit unlucky, sure, but you know what? When you have the puck up there, you just drop it to yourself, pushes it too far ahead. Robertson gets it. Bing, bang, boom. It's in the back of the net. Now, a little bit lucky, yes, because the pass deflected off Nugent Hopkins' stick and then directs down in front of Ekholm, right under Robertson's stick. So it's a little bit unlucky, sure. But Edmonton allowed that play to happen. There's nothing going on then. Ekholm just gloves the puck down rather than push it ahead. Doesn't happen. And he makes a pinch on the third goal. So it's a rare off night for Matthias Ekholm. Rare off night to see it having that one. Hey, guys, speaking of coaches, wasn't McTavish farting the KHL before the regular season even began? Ooh, you might be right. You might be right. We'd have to look at that. I thought he got a few games, but Cons, check it out. Did he even get to coach a game in the KHL that year? Go to Elite Prospects. They would have it. I'm not sure he did or not, but we'll see. Babcock, of course, got hired. Many people questioned the hiring. Then he didn't even coach a game in Columbus. So, yeah. But that wasn't even where, hey, you know what, we gave him a chance and we're going to jump the gun. They might have righted the wrong decision is essentially how you could put it there, I would think. So we shall see. 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. Hey, Gregor, what do you make of Corey Perry's post-game comments? Do you think the Oilers are going to be more aggressive protecting their goalie moving forward? From Dan. Well, if anybody missed it, yeah, Corey Perry, he did not mince his words after the game. It was rather disappointed in himself, which doesn't surprise me. It's Corey Perry. He's one who's always going to call a spade because he was just asked about if he was okay with seeing no response from the team after Skinner got ran. His quote was, "No, I was pissed at myself. I didn't see what happened. I was on the ice when he hit Skinner, and that's on me. I should never let that happen. I didn't see what happened. I saw Stu go down, and everyone was just standing around. Afterwards, on video, I saw it. I was quite annoyed at myself." So there you go. Then he followed it up with, they will talk about it internally on their lack of response lately to their goalies being made contact with. It's happened 3-4 times here in the last few games. So usually, you know what? Sometimes you guys challenge each other like that to say, hey, we got to be a unified group here. Stand up for one another. It usually does bring a team together. So Mac T coached 8 games. Yeah, I didn't think he got fired. So he got 8 games in the KHL. Still not a lot of time. You get 8 games, you're just starting to see if the team's understanding what you're doing. And then it's like, I'm out. Let's see. Hey, Gregor, Ekholm made a decision on the pinch, which obviously didn't work out. But just before that, Nurse had a couple options, and he shoots it short side wide. Oh, yeah, we talked about that. That shot's got to hit the net. No question. There's a few mistakes. Like, everybody's all about, hey, could Skinner have made a save? Sure. But Nurse's shot hits the net. The play never happens, right? Like, you've got options. That's why too often people just want to seem to blame one player for everything. That's the one goal I'd say, hey, maybe Skinner could have made a save. I'll get on board with that. I don't blame him on the first one. I definitely don't blame him on the second one. And how do you blame him on the 5-on-2.5 when Robertson comes across in a low slot redirection right inside the post? Really? Like, I don't get it. So Skinner, there's been games where he could have played better. 1,000%. Just like there's games that the Oilers team defense could play a lot better and certain individuals could play better. To me, the good news for the Oilers is they've shown from the goalie out they can play better. Now, when the calendar turns and all of a sudden you crunch it up and it's like 82 games, throw it on the bonfire, because really it means nothing. All the 82 games was decide who plays each other in the first round of the playoffs. After that, it's a whole new season. Now you're playing the same team every game for at least 4 games, maybe 7. And when I look at the Oilers, I still see, like, I looked last night against a good Dallas team. The Oilers, without McDavid, without Draisaitl, without Frederick, without Kane, were the better team for long stretches. To me, that's a good thing. But they have to eliminate. When they did make an error, it was just like a 5-star. Here you go, boys. Johnson, we'll just let you skate right up the middle of the ice from your own blue line, unscathed. We had 3 guys in position. Now we have 1. Here's a breakaway. Now compare that to Zach Hyman's breakaway. Bouchard has to make a really good play. Hyman reads at the blue line, and now he comes in all alone. He's being pressured. Now look at his shot on his breakaway, because people are like, see, Ottinger made a save, Skinner didn't. Now go back and watch Hyman's shot. It's right in the middle of the net. In the middle of the net. That's the easiest save for a goalie. He's just playing his position, hits him right in the chest. Oh, great save. No, that's a routine save. It's a routine save. It's different than go like a Johnson shot and look at Hyman's shot. You can't compare the two. I'm sorry. You just can't do it. So now, Ottinger's save on Janmark, that's a hell of a save. The rebound. Even the one on Nugent Hopkins where he kind of twisted himself into a pretzel and lost his balance and regained it, big save, no question. But the Hyman breakaway one I don't view as a big save. Right? Ottinger was good. The Oilers, I've said it all year long at times, the Oilers get really good chances, and when you fire it into the goalie's chest, you're just ruining a good chance. Make him make a really good save, like Janmark did on that second rebound. That's a really good save. Put it in the goalie's chest. I'm sorry. I don't view that as a, it's like your receiver runs a great route. He's wide open. You overthrow him. It's not like, good defense by the defensive back. No, it's a bad throw.
But they will celebrate it.
Oh, God,
they will celebrate.
They celebrate it all the time, right?
Yeah.
Like a guy makes a terrible throw behind the receiver. The guy has to go back with one hand. And the DB's like, yeah, now I get it. You know what? You got to believe that, he wouldn't have completed it anyway. But I do find that comical sometimes. So, hey, guys. Hey, Gregor, people are saying they don't like Skinner, just saying if we had a good goalie, they would cover up those mistakes. That's more what people are saying, I think. Well, no, that's a terrible rationalization, Tiger. Did Hellebuck cover up the mistakes for Winnipeg in the playoffs last year? Yes or no? When you're 30th in the league in odd man rush chances off the rush since January 1st, when you're 25th in high danger chances off the rush, guess what? Do you know where most goals are scored in the NHL? Off the rush. So people who believe, if we had a great goalie, everything would be fixed. Kevin Woodley outlined it this week. Hellebuck has the best save percentage in the NHL among starting goaltenders. Vasilevsky's second best. You know where they rank in environments as far as facing the easiest amount of shots? Second and third. Only Calvin Pickard's got a better environment in front of him. So even the best goalies have good numbers because they don't face as many quality chances. Could Skinner make a few more saves? Yes. But if you think, and here's the funny thing. People say, Stuart here, I think he's an average goalie. Okay, great. But then they get mad that the average goalie isn't making above average saves all the time. Like, make it make sense to me, please. It's so beyond rational to say, I don't think Skinner's very good, but I'm going to get mad at him every time because we give up too many chances and he doesn't save enough of them. Like, what? I don't get it. I do not get it. So I'll say this, as proven in the playoffs last year, Skinner, just play solid. Team defense, he's fine. 21 of his 23 starts, he had a 2.14 goals against and a .916 save percentage. He had 2 really bad games against Vancouver, allowed 9 goals and 28 shots. And so that's where people will look at the big number save percentage and they get fooled by it because they don't take the time to look at the bigger picture. What matters more, 21 games or 2? What matters more, 21 games or 2? I think we'd say 21. 21 games, a .916 save percentage, and a 2.14 goals against. Pretty damn good. Right? Real good. 2 really bad games. So that will skew the whole, because they were really bad. 9 goals on 28 shots. You got a save percentage of like 680. Okay? So yes, that's going to skew everything. But if you want to just look at that, to me, I think your analysis isn't complete. And that's okay. You guys don't have the time. It's my job. That's what I do. So I look up the stuff. I like to present facts to people to counter what I find online are a lot of just parroting things that aren't true. Right? Like here's the most recent one we got of parroting things that aren't true. Hey guys, last 4 years, Vancouver has had 4 hot goalies in the last 4 years. Never happens in Edmonton. So then I quickly look up the last 4 years in Vancouver. Do you know how many goalies in the last 4 years had a save percentage above .906, which, by the way, is what Stuart Skinner's save percentage is in that time? 1. Demko at 911. So guys who played 14 games and got hot, 903 save percentage. Halak. Kevin Lankinen, 901. Right? Arthur Shilovs. He had an 880, but people thought he got hot. Right? That's the skewed reality of people. They'll say something and truly believe it. And then you present them with the numbers. Wow, no. Because they don't want to believe it. They want to be angry and they want to be mad and they want to blame everything on Stuart Skinner. And if Stuart Skinner wasn't here, everything would be fixed. It's not true. Could Stuart Skinner play better? Yes. I've said it all year long. But if the team defense doesn't play better, it's not going to matter. Because the owner should just get the best goalie and they should have the best forwards and just have all the best guys. Well, can't believe they didn't go out there and acquire the best goalie, right? Like people say, well, look what Colorado did. Yeah, let's look what Colorado did. Have you looked at Blackwood's numbers yet? Why is Wedgwood, why are they in a 1A split evenly now? If Blackwood's so great, why is he not their clear starter? Because his numbers have dropped, right? Goalies go up and down, guys. Goalies go up and down. Stuart Skinner, his first 3 years as an NHL goalie, he has a 906 save percentage. He's also, by the way, in that time, he is one of only 18 goalies in the league who have played at least 130 games. And he ranks in games started, he ranks 10th. Do you know where he ranks amongst those 18 goalies in save percentage? Guess where? 11th. He's 10th in goals against average. Right where he should be. He's not Shesterkin. He's not Vasilevsky. He's not Jake Ottinger. But he's higher in save percentage than Vejmelka and Markstrom, Binnington, right? He's got a lower goals against average than a lot of those goalies. It's kind of where he is. Stop asking, and your expectations need to change. You think Stuart Skinner should be better than he is. He's not an elite goalie. There's not many of them, and he's not one yet. Now, he might become one down the road. You never know. He's only played 150 games, right? We talk about how many games does a goalie need. Well, a defenseman, well, how many games does a goalie need? Right? That's all he's played. And people talk like this guy is the worst goalie in the history of goalies. And they completely ignore the fact that the Edmonton Oilers are one of the worst teams in the NHL off the rush lately. And where the majority of goals come from is off the rush. And just so you know, when you only use the publicly available numbers for expected save percentage, it's not even remotely close than what the teams capture. I just want to tell you that. So you can love it, but it doesn't mean it's as accurate as you think it is. So there you go. Quick break. We'll return. And on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Day or night, tasting just so right. You can order Oodle Noodle at oodlenoodle.ca, delivering you the news almost right away. Remember, you can order Oodle Noodle at oodlenoodle.ca. So stay on your couch all day and order oodlenoodle.ca. Oodle Noodle.
You got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939, we're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Silent Rides is one of Alberta's premier bus charter companies with state-of-the-art motor coaches. We provide our customers with the safest and most reliable ground transportation. Our seatbelt-equipped buses have become the preferred carrier for many local sports teams, tours, corporate outings, and other various travel across Western Canada. For more information and to request a quote, contact Ted Nakamura at 780-940-0880 or visit silentrides.ca.
Is it Riverside Motorsports?
No. It's Riverside Motorsports. Over 55 years in business, and people still get it wrong.
Guess it's time to get it right.
Riverside Motorsports. What you do for fun is our business.
Portions of this hour brought to you by On the Rocks. Watch every Oilers game at OTR with $5.25 Molson Canadian, $5 Pink Whitney shots, and 60-cent wings. Plus, play Oilers Score and Win for your chance to win On the Rocks gift cards. Oilers Hockey at OTR. Book your table today. Jasper Ave in 118th.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Gregor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X on a wintry Thursday afternoon. Supposed to keep going until like tomorrow night, Cons. Maybe 20 centimeters of snow. It's a little slushy right now for sure because obviously the temperature out there. So as the temperature drops a little bit later on in the day, definitely make your way home a little bit safer. And just give a little bit more space. We want all of you to get home so you can watch the game and be excited or happy depending on what happens. So I can tell you right now, as frustrated as you might get when an order's lost, you'll get way more frustrated if you're in a car accident because now that impacts you personally for sure. For sure. Let's go in the room now, brought to you by Action Electrical. Building owners, did you know you can earn a refundable federal tax rebate up to 30% off a solar project's capital cost? It's called ITC. Learn more, actionelectrical.net. As Ian Furness from 93.3 KJR in Seattle joins us. Ian, my man, welcome back to the show. How you doing?
Good, Jason. Good timing. I just got to the rink, and the timing's perfect because they just finished the anthem rehearsals, and I didn't want your listeners up there booing the American anthem as we came out of a break there. So it's just good timing on you. How are you?
Well, thankfully, that doesn't happen very often. There's the odd person, but for the most part, I haven't heard that in Edmonton, which is good. Heck, I could do without the anthems at the game, but that's a whole other story. Now, the Seattle Kraken have no team has dominated them more than the Oilers. The Oilers have won 9 in a row. They beat them without McDavid and Draisaitl. Now, there is no Stevenson again tonight for the Kraken. Now, obviously, when McDavid and Draisaitl are in, I get it. It's just a matchup that some teams are better matchups or worse in the case of Seattle for teams. Why did it? Because they don't struggle against Colorado that much. They don't struggle against some of the other top teams. Why have they struggled so much against Edmonton?
It's a weird one, right? Because, when you look at a short 4-year history, I mean, there's not a huge sample size, and you look and see, what they've done against certain teams around the league, and there's teams that you wouldn't expect them to have success against, and they have, and then there's, other teams that are just good. Edmonton's just better. I mean, I think that's as simple as that. They're just better. And part of it, too, is maybe, at least this year, and this is the first year I've worked for them and kind of been here every single night to have a little better feel for it. I think just this year, the lack of success against Edmonton is just kind of a microcosm of what the season is. I mean, they've played a good chunk of the year without key guys, and Seattle's not a deep enough team to survive 57 straight games with no Jordan Eberle and some combination of no Dunn, no DeCord, at the time Yanni Gord. So, they've been unlucky in that regard. But I would chalk it up to just as simple as Edmonton's better. Or at least they have been, and that's a good hockey team. I mean, even last night, watching your game last night, prepping for our stuff today, it's that's a hell of a pushback in the third period by a team without their two guys. They could have easily said, all right, let's just worry about Seattle tomorrow, and look what they did last night, pushing Dallas right to the bitter end.
Yeah, looking at the Kraken, Ian, I know you and I have talked about this before. I never loved their approach from day one. I thought they were a little too passive in the expansion draft. And that's kind of been Ron Francis's calling card, even if you go back to his time in Carolina. Like he doesn't make the big move. And if I look at Seattle now, here we are a few years in, and I know they had the great year, and they had everybody had career years, but since then, they've gotten worse. And like when I look at their lineup, like, do you see any reason to believe that next year can be better, or do they have to make some significant changes in the offseason?
No, and I think that's one of the things. Like, I had this question. I think I was talking to some of your buddies in Vancouver like last week about the same thing, and we're going through the process. They're like, "Wow, it's just going to have to be a teardown. They're going to do this and that." I said, we're all team centric, right? We look at our own teams first and foremost, and we're familiar and intimate with those teams. And sometimes it's hard to kind of look past the opening layer of another team if you're not, with them all the time. And I think if you just kind of look at Seattle, they're going to be strong down the middle. Beniers, Wright, Stevenson, they're pretty. I mean, I'll start with those three guys. Decord's a true number one. I'll be honest with you, Jason. I think he's wearing out a little bit.
Okay.
They've had to use him a lot this year, and I think he's wearing out. But if you look at Joey Decord for a good chunk of the season, he's been a true number one. Is almost every number that matters. He's been in the top 10 all year in the NHL. No concern there. Backup goaltender certainly concerned, but that's a different story. And I love their. I'll tell you right now, I like their defense a hell of a lot more than Edmonton's. I mean, I'll take Dunn, Larson, Montour, Evans, and whatever combination of Alexiak you want to put in the final third or the third pair. I like that group a lot. They've got a young kid up here, Yanni Newman, right now, who was the leading goal scorer among rookies in the American League when he got called up. He looks every bit the part of a full-time NHL player. He'll be here all next year. Just probably has the best shot on the team. Kaapo Kakko's been a revelation for both him and the team coming over here from New York. But they have work to do in the offseason. They've got a good core. Eberle, seeing when he came back after missing 40 games, we've seen the difference that Jordan Eberle makes. They're a far different hockey team with him. So he's been good. There's some guys that have underachieved. I mean, Andre Burakovsky has just not been the player they expected when they signed him. That's an issue for sure. But they've got a ton of salary cap space, and they've got a lot of draft equity to work with in the offseason. I think they're a couple pieces away from being a playoff team. Just look at the results of the last couple of weeks since the trade deadline, and when they got guys back healthy, they're right there. They're not there yet, but they're right there, and it's a very important offseason for Ron Francis.
If he's going to make a big splash, how does he do it?
Well, I think it's going to be a combination of two things. I think it's going to be via trade, draft weekend, what have you, and certainly free agency. Now, last year they went out and they spent money, and you mentioned it. That's not Ron Francis's thing. Like, he's not a big spend money guy. At least he wasn't in Carolina. But last year he went out and he spent, a lot of money on Chandler Stevenson. He leads the team in assists and points this season. He's the best passing forward in the NHL by the analytics. Like, nobody completes more passes than Chandler Stevenson. Best face-off guy, penalty killer. He's been a good player. He's not going to carry an offense, but he's been a good player. That was a good signing. And then Brandon Montour has been great for them. Great signing as well. He's going to have money again this year. He's going to have to be aggressive. Can they convince people to come here? No state income tax. That helps a lot, to be honest with you, Jason. That's a huge selling point for signing players here. It's one of the things we've never quite understood about the baseball team. Why can't the Mariners sign more people when 90% of the states in the U.S. have a state income tax? We don't have one here. That saves a player right off the top 10% of money. Like, that's a nice little deal to throw at him. But he's going to have to get aggressive in free agency. And then I think, trades. I think we saw last year, you guys know as well as anybody, restricted free agents and qualifying offers. That's no longer taboo, right? So I think they're going to get aggressive in the offseason. I think he's going to be really aggressive that last weekend in June and then July 1st.
Ian Furness joins us. I would debate you on the Seattle defense or the Oilers defense with Wallman, Nurse, Bouchard, Ekholm, and Kulak as a top five. That's pretty solid, especially come playoff time. A lot of those guys have had really good track records in the playoffs and move the puck very well. Looking at Seattle and their drafting,
but you got to include salary in there. I mean, Darnell Nurse is making more money than he should be by times too, right? I love Ekholm, absolutely. Bouchard's maybe somewhat of a liability in his own end. Yeah, right. I mean, I think my point is this: that's not when people say Seattle's going to tear it down. look at who they've got on the back end and understand where the contracts are. And I'm not saying you. I'm going back to those knuckleheads of Vancouver and others. But look at what they do have a core here. They're not starting from scratch. There's a lot of teams in a lot worse shape than Seattle. That's my big point.
Oh no, I think their defense is their best. That's their best feature of their team. I don't think there's any debate on that. That's the strength of their team for sure. They lack scores, right? Like they drafted even in the expansion draft, they got a lot of older guys, and I know it worked out 1 year, but like I look at them and I'm like, how can they distribute and get a little bit more speed? I've liked how they've handled Shane Wright. I'm not sure he's going to be an elite forward yet, but I like how they've handled him. I think he's been good. Beniers obviously hasn't been what he was his first year, and I don't know, maybe he never will be again. We'll see. But they got to get some more offense. Like, to me, I wouldn't focus anywhere on defense. All of their spending and all of their shopping should be in the forward aisle.
It has to be, and it has to be on the wings. It has to be guys that can finish. They need an aircraft carrier. And Matty's an interesting guy because I'm with you. I kind of go back and forth. I ask myself that all the time, and I'm like, is he going to get back to, like, he's not even back to where he was as Rookie of the Year 2 years ago. He needs to not just get back to that level, but take a step forward. And Shane's been really good. I feel bad for the kid in a lot of ways because of, where he was as a exempt guy coming into juniors and always thought to be the number 1 overall guy, slips a few spots in the draft. Montreal passes on him, blah, blah, blah. And what people tend to forget about Shane, he's just turned 21 years old. I mean, literally just turned 21. And they're the guys I mentioned, Wright, Beniers, Capo Caco, Yanni Newman, whom I'm missing, Ellie Tolvin. And these guys are all between 20 and 23 years old. Like, they're young guys up front, but they need help. Absolutely. Jason, that's why I said Ron Francis has a massively important offseason coming up. And that he has to make some moves. He's got to add something to and part of it with Matty is, Matty's been better. Beniers has been better since they put Kako on the line. He's been a lot better. And they added Yanni Newman there, the two Finns. That line has been pretty good together. So, but they can't rely on a 20, 21-year-old in Yanni Newman to carry the offense, or a 34-year-old in Jordan Everly. They need help, absolutely, 100%. I think a couple of additions up front, maybe some guys playing back to, where they should, like Beniers, I think they'll be okay. But they have to add scoring. But who doesn't, right? Outside of the Edmonton Oilers, except for tonight, maybe when you're missing those two guys.
One last one for you. Looking at the forward or moving forward, what happens with Philip Grubauer this offseason? Do they consider buying him out?
I think they have to, don't they? I mean, that's, such a curious thing. I mean, if you want to look, there's no GM is perfect, and no organization makes perfect moves. I think you can make the argument that one, Burakovsky maybe, but that one was just a bad move. The weird thing was they had drafted, and signed Chris Drieger, and they had Vanacek part of the expansion draft, and they had Joey part of the expansion draft. Like, they already had goalies, and then they go out and they sign Grubauer to that huge deal that just it's crippling. And he's just been awful this year until lately. His last 2-3 starts, he's been actually really good. And but boy, to send a guy making that kind of money down in the American Hockey League to quote find himself is a pretty big red flag. I think they buy him out. They still need a veteran backup or somebody to back up Joey, because their young goaltender, Ike Coco in the American League at Coachella, he's still just that, very young. So I think they'll try to find like a cheaper veteran backup along the way. But I think a buyout has to be on the table, Jason.
Oh, God.
It just has to be.
Yeah.
Right. Like, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah. No, I think there's no choice. They have to do it. And, I guess unless you can find someone to take him, but I can't see that happening. So.
Yeah. I don't think you and I have a better chance to win the lottery, probably, right?
Yeah, it's true.
That happening. So, yeah. Do we get picks tonight? Do we get the Seattle Thunderbird legend tonight, I assume, since Skinner got knocked in the noggin last
night?
Yeah,
he's not even on the trip. Pickard was scheduled to start anyway, but he will be starting tonight for the Edmonton Oilers. And the Oilers are going to go 11-7 because they had to recall Olivier Rodrigue on emergency recall, so they'll go 11 forwards and 7 defensemen.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah, it's cool. Kind of cool story for picks. He got a win here last time Edmonton was here. Playing here under the roof. I mean, new building, but the same roof that he played juniors in for a couple of years with the Thunderbirds before they moved to Kent. And he had such a great junior career with Seattle and good kid. So I'm happy for him. maybe not wishing him the best success tonight, but he's a good story. I'm not sure he's not a better goalie for you guys right now, but that's a debate for another day too, probably.
Ian, great stuff, man. We appreciate it. Enjoy the game tonight. Enjoy the band in the background.
Yeah, you know what? Right on cue, they're done after we're done, right? I thought I found a quiet place in the rink. So, we'll do it again.
It's like a piano. They had a piano going on back there. It's like a little mini concert.
Buddy, I have no idea. It's a new adventure here every night.
Oh, nice. All right. Well, there you go. We love it. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Take care, bud.
Ian Furness joining us right from the rink in Seattle. That's all, it's a gamble sometimes, but usually that early, like the game doesn't start for another 3 hours and 20 minutes. So they're warming up early. Wow. I get you have to practice some things, but yeah, the piano, I'm kind of curious what they're going to be using that for. Now I just want to go to the rink tonight and see what's happening in Seattle. We'll come back with 5 questions on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Play Alberta has hundreds of casino games right at your fingertip. Join thousands discovering why Fortune Coin is one of Alberta's most popular games. Fill your reels with golden coins, multiply your prizes up to 6 times, and turn good spins into legendary ones. Land the Fortune Coin symbol to win cash, trigger the jackpot, launch the free spins bonus, and watch as the dragon takes over your screen. New players get 100 free spins only on PlayAlberta.ca. Claim your offer today.
There's an old saying that goes, many hands make light work. We believe that at GS Construction. So what does it mean? It means a task is easier to complete when many people work together. It also means that GS Construction is preparing for the start of the 2025 season and is hiring. Currently, we're on the lookout for top men and pipe layers. So if you're one of those skilled pros who know how to do your job safely and efficiently, we're interested. Come join a team that's as solid as the infrastructure we build and maintain. Visit gsconstruction.ca today.
Excavators, loaders, lifts, compaction equipment, and more. Find the XCMG construction equipment you need. Available for rental or sale at Japa Machinery Group. Japa, helping build Alberta from the ground up for 50 years. Visit japamachinery.com.
Do it, do it, do it. Your vehicle is a big investment. Protect it at Hughes Car Wash. We use only clean, fresh water and the highest quality car wash soap. Hughes Car Wash, the car wash pros.
Find us at hughescarwash.com.
Oodle noodle origins. In 1864, Francis Oodle took over his dying father's business as a leatherman. He was quite proficient, but his heart was never truly in the trade. After his father's death, Oodle met a cocksure young man named Vladimir Nudel, who was a trailblazer in the popular new art of food boxes. They formed a partnership and aimed to ply their trade in the new world. At Ellis Island, Nudel was renamed David Noodle, and henceforth, the franchise has been known as
Oodle Noodle. You got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is
On the Rocks.
Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
A few years ago, I was doing okay, but the rising cost of living has made my credit card bills go through the roof, and I don't know how to handle it anymore.
Times are tough. The cost of living is causing many to fall into debt through no fault of their own. It's easy to feel overwhelmed and stressed. There are options that can help you get back on your feet. My name is Parveen Middleton, and I'm a licensed insolvency trustee at BDO here in Edmonton. I can help you find a solution to become debt-free. Visit bdodebt.ca to learn more.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Truck Month is on at Chevrolet. Get 0% financing for up to 72 months on a 2025 Silverado 1500 Custom Blackout or Custom Trail Boss. With Custom Trail Boss's available class-exclusive Duramax 3-liter diesel engine and Z71 off-road package with a 2-inch factory suspension lift, you get both on-road confidence and off-road capability. Dirt road ahead. Let's go! Truck Month is awesome. Ask your Chevrolet dealer for details.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantork. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at cantork.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Hope you're having an awesome day. Let's get to 5 questions brought to you by The Brick. Save you more in furniture, mattresses, appliances, and big screen TVs. Also ensuring you get a great night's sleep. Stop in at the Brick Mattress Store, and they will ensure you get the best mattress.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
All right, Jason, question number 1. What was the biggest thing that stood out to you last time the Oilers lost to the Dallas Stars?
Well, just their bonehead plays that led to goals against. They really gifted Dallas 3 goals last night, and that obviously cost them the game. From forward to defense, goaltending. It was a combination.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give a little credit to the Stars. They got guys who can make you pay, right? Jason Robertson, Wyatt Johnson, both guys north of 25 goals this year, guys that can do the damage. I like to fight back, though. I like seeing that from the Oilers. Despite being down 4-1, you get some adversity. Your starting goalie gets knocked out. You didn't just lay down. You didn't immediately make it a brawl. You went and you tried to get back in the game, and they were close. So I like seeing the Oilers fight back without their 2 top dogs. Question number 2 for you. If Stuart Skinner were to miss a couple games here, do you even consider the idea of giving Olivier Rodrigue start?
No.
You're not? No, okay.
No, not. It's not. The Oilers need wins, and you have a backup who all he's done for you is win. I don't really care about any of the other numbers. All he does is when he's in, they win, right? Olivier Rodrigue, do you know what his save percentage in the American League is this year?
899.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah, we talked about it on the Fantasy Frenzy today. That draft class for goaltenders, not the strongest. I think he was the second goalie taken. For me, temptation would be to see what he can do. But yeah, they got to win hockey games, and Calvin Pickett's been really good. So I have more confidence in Calvin Pickett right now than I might have in Stuart Skinner. So I'll be rolling with him as long as it takes going forward here. Question number 3 for you. After being fired by the Flyers, will John Tortorella coach again in the NHL?
Ooh, that's a good question. And he's coached a lot. It's got to be it's going to be a veteran team that feels like maybe their guys haven't been able to squeeze all the juice out of the orange. That's the only team I could see him taking over. So, I'm going to say no.
Yeah, I tend to lean with you under those circumstances, though. If there was a team, underperforming, has a lot of talent, desperate GM, I think maybe Tortorella could get that call as a guy who could, push them over the limit there. But I don't know. I feel like the game might have just changed, and maybe he's not an NHL coach anymore, and maybe it's time for a new cycle of the guys to get their opportunity. Question number 4, MLB baseball. Well, MLB officially underway right now. Who is your pick to win AL and NL MVP this season?
Oh God. Well, Ohtani's going to pitch, so I'll go with him. I think he's going to end up pitching, and he's probably going to be really good at it. So I'll go with him. The who do I like in the AL? You know what? I thought he had a really good season last year, and I think Bobby Witt Jr. I'll go with Witt Jr.
I got to agree with you, and that's a little bit of bias because in the Fantasy Frenzy Fantasy Baseball League, Brandon Douglas and I took Bobby Witt first overall. So if he's having an MVP type season, that's going to go a long way for our team. In the NL, it'll be another bias pick. I love San Diego. I want Fernando Tatis to have a heck of a year and get the job done, helping the Padres take down the evil Los Angeles Dodgers, even though the Padres spent a lot of money too. Final question for you today. Brenda Song celebrates her birthday. She's married to Macaulay Culkin and also stars in Running Point on Netflix, which follows a fictional basketball team and also was recommended to us by Jason Strudwick on the show on Tuesday. So when you think of TV shows that have sports as the focus, what would you put as you can give me a 1 to 3 of your favorite ones?
Go ahead.
I will say for me, I've really become a fan of Shoresy. And that's just not because TR is part of the program. I think what that show does is really good. The music's good. It's a fun show to watch. Ted Lasso has to be in there for me. And see, I didn't limit it to fiction or nonfiction. So I'm also going to throw in The Last Dance. The documentary on Michael Jordan was awesome. So that would be my top 3.
So these are just of all time?
Yeah, any 3 you want.
Oh, man. Yeah, I really did like Ted Lasso. I'm going to go with The League. I thought that show was really funny and laughed quite a bit. And so I'll also go Eastbound and Down. Because, man, there's lots of days you got a lot of people like, man, if they had to read I try to siphon it out, but the amount of trash you have to read nowadays with text and stuff, it's mind blowing. So some days you just need some comedy to get your sanity back. So
one of my favorite scenes in The League was when Jordan Cameron and Cameron Jordan were at the funeral and they were trying to distinguish between the two. And I think it was Rexon, is that his name? Was trying to forgot who was who. Because that was an issue I also had. So yeah, The League was awesome. That was a great show.
Oh man, it was quite funny for sure. Especially if you play fantasy sports. That's what made it quite comical. Is some of the characters you had certain guys in, like the bad traders, the guy who's always trying to just lowball you for everything. Guys like, oh yeah, I totally know that guy. Right? That's Struddy. Struddy's that guy. He tries to he just wastes your time. You have the guys why are you even offering me a trade? This doesn't even make sense. So
the taco who doesn't know football.
Yes.
Drafting Joffrey Reynolds in his league. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It was awesome. Awesome. 4:57. Mark Spector is going to join us. We'll talk. Spec was fired up. We got Steve Koulias coming up as well. Do the Oilers have a unity problem? We'll find out after Connor Halley and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Booster Juice as they introduce 3 new food options, new ingredients to create new cravings. The guacamole chicken panini, the guacamole black bean wrap, and the egg and chipotle black bean wrap. Visit your nearest Booster Juice today and try them.
With a Sports 1440 update.
The Edmonton Oilers have recalled goaltender Olivier Rodrigue from the AHL on an emergency basis. The move comes after starting goaltender Stuart Skinner suffered an injury in the third period of the team's loss to the Stars after a collision with Mikko Rantanen. The Oilers in action tonight down in Seattle, taking on the Kraken. Puck drop just after 8 o'clock. We've got pregame coverage for you with Andrew Walker and Donovan Paulson getting going immediately following the Jason Gregor Show. Elsewhere around the NHL, the Sharks taking on the Leafs. Got the Kings and Colorado Avalanche. Flames host the Stars, Blues in Nashville, Wild taking on the Capitals. The Flyers host the Canadiens. They'll do so without head coach John Tortorella after he was fired this morning. Brad Shaw replacing him on an interim basis. Lightning host the Utah Hockey Club, Sens in Detroit, and the Sabres up against the Pittsburgh Penguins. In the association, the Kings will host the Blazers. You got the Rockets in Utah. Thunder host the Grizz. Lakers travel to Chicago. Magic up against the Mavericks and the Spurs in Cleveland. Major League Baseball underway today. The Blue Jays losing their opener 12-2 to the Baltimore Orioles. Other finals had the Brewers falling to the Yankees 4-2. Red Sox over the Rangers 5-2. Giants get past the Reds 6-4. White Sox beat up on the Angels 8-1. And in extras, it was the Guardians over the Royals 7-4. Down in Houston, this one just wrapping up. Astros over the Mets 3-1. Still to come tonight, Athletics Mariners, Diamondbacks Cubbies, and the Tigers take on the Dodgers. March Madness rolls on tonight. A little Sweet 16 action. You've got 4 games: BYU, Alabama, Florida up against Maryland, Arizona takes on Duke, and Texas Tech will battle Arkansas. Coming up in hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet and Steve Koulias from Sirius XM NHL. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
At Fountain Tire, success is a team effort. They're committed to their team members and their customers. And that means treating your vehicle like it's their own and finding solutions that suit your needs. Because whatever the road brings ahead, they're on it with you. Visit fountaintire.com today.
This is going to make you hungry. Booster Juice just dropped new guacamole and black bean grilled fresh options.
What the guac?
Yeah, a guacamole black bean wrap, guacamole chicken panini, and an egg and chipotle black bean wrap.
What a trio! Holy guacamole!
Bye-bye, boring as bread sandwiches.
Guac, yeah! New flavors, new cravings.
Avocado up to wraps and paninis from Booster Juice. Canadian-born blending since 1999. Download the Booster Rewards app and order one today.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Introducing the new McSpicy from McDonald's. It looks like a regular chicken sandwich, but it's actually a spicy chicken sandwich. McSpicy. Consider yourself warned. Limited time only. At participating McDonald's in Canada.
Truck Month is on now at GMC, and it's one of the best times to get behind the wheel. Right now, get a $5,000 cash purchase credit on 2025 Sierra HD models with a 13.4-inch diagonal center touchscreen, and available Duramax 6.6-liter turbo diesel V8 engine with 470 horsepower. Plus, the most trailering assistance technologies in its class. Sierra has some serious hauling power and is the only off-road ready HD. Truck Month is on now. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
Are you afraid of losing your car or home due to debt? Don't let fear or shame hold you back from seeking help. Bankruptcy is not the only option. A consumer proposal can reduce your monthly payments, lower your overall debt, and allow you to keep your assets. My name is Parveen Middleton. I'm a licensed insolvency trustee at BDO here in Edmonton. I'm here to help you tackle your debt. Take the first step towards regaining control of your finances. Call 1-833-BDO-TALK or visit bdodebt.ca to learn more.
86 deliveries made.
11 friends' houses moved.
9 renos completed, and the next one on its way.
Measure your Tundra's capability and memories, not just mileage. It's time to Toyota. Lease a 2025 Tundra 4x4 double cab SR5 from $152 weekly for 60 months at 5.19% with $6,699 down. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Prairie Toyota dealer today.
Spring cleanup is a breeze with the Lawnmower Hospital and BCS Market Garden Equipment. Winter left a mess, and the Lawnmower Hospital brings you solutions. From BCS tillers and rotary plows to power harrows and 2-wheel garden tractors that go places a traditional tractor wouldn't dare. You'll find everything BCS at the Lawnmower Hospital, including attachments, accessories, hitches, wheels, and tires, plus more. See lawnmowerhosp.com.
The Lawnmower Hospital. It's another big
ball from number 1, Titan Supply. They're dominating this series. Looks like a clean sweep.
Spring cleanup is an easy win with Titan Supply. Not only can you trust them to lift, dig, and haul, but with their spring special on industrial brooms, cleaning grime, rocks, and dirt from parking lots, streets, and more is a breeze. Their service inspections help ensure you're safe and ready for the upcoming season. Titan Supply in Edmonton, Grand Prairie, Red Deer, and Calgary, and at titansupply.ca. Lift, dig, haul.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Japa Machinery. Japa is digging deep on their 50-year history of supporting Alberta's construction industry with their line of special edition blackout excavators. Visit japamachinery.com for all the details.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Just after 5 o'clock. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440. Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. As man, the here at in our Ewell studio, there's major renovations going on just outside the door. As we're getting a whole new studio built that should be done sometime this summer. So be a little bit. Should be everything's gonna be brand new. I don't know if it'll be better. It'll definitely be newer. So see how that goes. It is the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Get in the game and use the promo code Gregor50 and you get a free $50 play at PlayAlberta.ca. Now let's get to the spec report brought to you by GS Construction, the underground infrastructure specialist. Big reminder, especially you're going through construction zones right now. Be more aware than ever. Obviously, the road conditions aren't ideal, so they want to get home just as quickly and as safely as you. It's GS Construction. As do we have Spec? We welcome in Mark Spector from Rogers Sportsnet. Spec, how you doing?
Do you have Spec? Don't you have Spec every day at this time of day?
Yeah, well, but I wasn't sure if you were there. Is what I meant. Yeah. So I saw him picking up the phone, so I thought maybe there was some connection issues. So. Spec, I read your article. Corey Perry didn't mince his words. He wasn't happy at himself. He didn't see what happened, but there's been a few instances here where their goalies are getting touched and ran, and that's two concussions. Well, one was taken out by the team. The other was a concussion spotter for Stuart Skinner here, recent memory. Now he's out for tonight, and I'm guessing if he's not traveling, Spec, he probably is going to be out Saturday. Usually anything with a concussion ends up being minimum 5 days, so we probably see Pickard maybe back to back here.
Yeah, I mean, that type of concussion where your neck, that was a gruesome sort of overhead view of what happened to his neck, and that kind of concussion can be 3 days. It could be 3 months. Ask Sid Crosby how that works, right? It dogged Sid Crosby for 3 years. So who knows? I don't have a clue how bad it is. I'm not reporting anything. I just don't know. I hope it's a day. But the bigger picture is it's just another day that passes where the Oilers are the team. The Oilers are the nail and the other team's the hammer. And that's how this team's built. So if you don't like it, and I don't like it, you better get used to it because it's not going to change.
Yeah, Corey Perry didn't mince his words and say, "Hey, man, I didn't see it after I saw the replay. I was pretty annoyed at myself for not doing anything." Like, the Rantanen one where you have a knee right to the head of the goalie. There's no reason for him to be there. Honestly, like you can say it's accidental, but you can argue that's accidental on purpose. Like when you're skating that close to the goalie, there's chance of contact. It's just that simple.
Yeah, an accidental. Oh, sorry, I knocked your goalie out for the rest of the season in the playoffs. I apologize. Well, great. Thanks. That apology goes a long way. Well, we're going out in the first round because we don't have a goalie. So listen, I don't, all I know is Sam Steele smoked Skinner earlier in the game. Then Rantanen hits Skinner and knocks him out of the game. Then Sam Steele smokes Pickard right through the crossbar. And I don't think Jake Ottinger ever had any shade on him in that game, right? Like,
Yep.
where are we with hockey now? Is that what we do? We just sit there and our goalies get the hell beat out of us and we go, well, we wouldn't want to take a 2-minute minor. What happened to running Jake Ottinger through the end glass, right? Where'd that go? And after 3 tries, like, I think the first time you could say, oh, it was a mistake. They're habitually running into your goalie all night long. And the Oilers did absolutely nothing about it. And I'll tell you what, I'm old school. I don't like that one bit. I think it's a super bad look on the Edmonton Oilers from man 1 to man 20.
Yeah, it's fair. I remember a few years ago that, there was a situation with Kane, and he was like one guy on the ice, and I don't know if it was Minnesota or Florida, one of the two teams. Might have been Minnesota. And there was like 4 Oilers who took like 3 or 4 seconds before they finally came in. And I was told that Dave Manson went up one side and down the other of the team after that.
Yeah.
And it made a difference. It made a big difference. And so I don't know, Corey Perry said, hey, this will be addressed internally, which is a polite way of saying, yeah, I don't like it. And something's going to have to be said, but I don't know if you need a reminder or not, but it's one, and in a weird way, now, hey, you get Frederick back, you get Kane, your team gets tougher for sure, but team toughness has always been, you don't need a lot of fighters in today's game, but you need guys so the other team knows that they can't just take any sort of liberty with you at any time.
Yeah, it's more an attitude than a physical thing. It doesn't matter who you are. Connor Brown can give you team toughness, right? If Connor Brown throws his weight around, he's a fast skater. When he hits you, he can hit you hard. Like all kinds of guys. Max Jones can go to the net, right, and not put the brakes on quite as hard as he might normally. Like, team toughness isn't having Kevin McClelland and Dave Semenko and Marty McSorley and Don Jackson. It's not that anymore. Those days are long gone. You don't have that. But I'll tell you what, how many tough guys does Dallas have? They were a hell of a lot tougher than Edmonton was last night. And they don't have a bunch of big brawlers or anything. So
they got one, right? And Bichelle, that's about it.
It's attitude and it's pride and it's sticking together, and I'll tell you what, it is to me, like, remember this, Jay. Every time you ever saw a team get in a big line brawl in one of those games where they fight all night, every single guy came out of it with a smile on his face and said, man, this is the kind of thing that brings teams together. How many times have you heard that, Jay? 100 times in your career, right?
Yep.
So this is the opposite, right? This is the opposite. This team isn't coming together around those things, right? I'd love to know why.
Yeah, I wonder. I'm somewhat of a believer that it kind of comes a little bit from the top. Like your coach can set the level of how aggressive you want to be as a team, right? And we've seen, they're clearly being, hey, you know what? We're not caring too much about physical play this year, not as much as we have in the past, because the hits are down 40%. So, and coach is fine with it. And that's fine. That's his prerogative, but that can stretch into different areas. And then it becomes a concern.
Yeah, well, there's no question. It's not expected from the top. It's not the kind of guy Knobloch is. Obviously, he doesn't. I mean, Paul Coffey, I'm surprised wouldn't speak up because that's more his style. Like, he didn't play that way, but he played in a team that played that way. So yeah, listen, if the coach wanted it and you didn't do it, you'd be sitting on the bench. No one's sitting on the bench, so that means that the coach doesn't care. So yes, you're right, Jay. It's not being demanded here from behind the bench. But you know what? I think, like Corey Perry said last night, we'll deal with this internally. It should be demanded in the dressing room. This shouldn't be a coaching thing. This is teammates standing up for each other. And I'll tell you what, I don't like much about a team that doesn't stand up for each other. And this team doesn't stand up for each other.
The other thing they're not doing lately is, you know what, they're being a little bit too Santa Claus. Like, you look at last night's spec, those first 3 goals, like there was some major, like the first goal was a nothing play from Dallas out of their own zone. You had the Ekholm pinch, but you had 2 forwards behind him. And then Corey Perry floats over to the right side where Bouchard already is. And Derek Ryan changes and no one comes off the bench. And Wyatt Johnson just skates right up the ice from his own blue line and gets a breakaway. Like, it was stunning to me. Like, Edmonton for long stretches last night were the better team. But man, when they wanted to make mistakes, they were doozies and it cost them.
It did. And Pete DeBoer thought that the Oilers should have won the game. Right?
Yeah.
The Dallas coach didn't think his team played well enough to win. He thought Edmonton was the better team. So that's exactly it. Edmonton had the puck more. They were the better team. They had more shots. They had 87 shots directed at the Dallas net. They controlled the play for much of the game, for 2/3 of it. But when they made a mistake, it was giant. It was a big 2-on-1 with Jason Robertson, who can really shoot it. He's a great goal scorer. It was Wyatt Johnston on a breakaway. It's a tap-in goal for Robertson on a puck that bounced around through Bouchard and Ekholm. And it's a 5-on-3 with a broken stick. Like, you're right, Jay. They didn't get as many chances as Edmonton, but they got better ones. And, I think you and I said yesterday, if Edmonton's going to win games without Draisaitl and McDavid, they're going to be, tighter, lower scoring defensive games. You're going to have to win on the back of your defensive posture. You're going to have to not make yourself score 5 goals to win a hockey game because they don't have the firepower right now.
No.
And they played really well, but they forced themselves to score 5 last night to win because they gave up way too much in the second period. And guess what you don't do? You don't win.
Yeah. And it's funny because the second period, the Oilers are the best second period team in the NHL. They're plus 28, right? 91-4-63 again. So that's including giving up 3 yesterday. So they used to be plus 31. So it's odd. That period has normally been their best period. And they just kind of fell flat apart. Now, I give them credit in the third period. They didn't die. They didn't just roll over. Obviously they didn't respond to the goalies thing, but they didn't die and roll over. So tonight, due to Skinner, he's not on the trip. So they had to emergency recall Olivier Rodrigue. Now, I should point out, emergency recall is only in the wording emergency recall, so he doesn't count as one of the 4 recalls that you're allowed after the trade deadline. You're only allowed 4 of them. If it was an emergency roster recall, then he wouldn't count against the cap. But because it isn't, that's why they had to send Derek Ryan to Bakersfield, so they'll go 11-7 tonight. They're playing Seattle, a team that they've beaten for fun spec here for the last few seasons. They're 9-0 against Seattle. If they win 10 in a row, which has only ever happened 4 other times against one franchise and none since 1992 when they won 11 in a row against Quebec, that, it's pretty rare to be able to dominate, even a bad team like this for this long as the Oilers have against Seattle. And it's just, no Chandler Stevenson for Seattle. We saw them here last Saturday where the Oilers, their best guys are still better than Seattle's best guys, and that's without McDavid and Draisaitl.
Yeah, I think they're still a better team for sure. But I also, if I'm not mistaken, both McDavid and Draisaitl have lengthy scoring streaks against Seattle, which tells me that in those 9 straight wins, McDavid and Draisaitl had something to do with every one of them. So, you're a different team. Now, the Oilers did score. Did they not score 2 power play goals again last night? The power play is better. Power play is better without McDavid and Draisaitl. I will predict to you that won't last. It won't be better without them forever here. So I subscribe to the same theory. I get it. You own Seattle. You better not put yourself in a position where you need 4 or 5 to win. That's all I'm trying to say. They're not that team right now, and they got to buckle down defensively. Regardless of who's in and who's out, Jay, we know what happens in the playoffs. You can't play games like yesterday against Dallas where you give up, grade AAA chances, 4, 5, 6 of them. You won't win in the playoffs. And I don't know if you win tonight if you do the same thing.
No, it's Seattle maybe because they just, they don't have great team defense either. They've given up a lot lately. So maybe you could get away from it. Like Jake Ottinger played pretty well. I thought some of the Oilers' best chances weren't good shots. Like Hyman's breakaway chance was right in the middle of the net. It hit Ottinger. Like that's a good chance, but a bad shot selection. Now the Janmark save, that's a great save, right? The rebound save, or he reacted to it. Like that's a hell of a save. Even the Nugent Hopkins, he kind of got himself twisted around, but then still made a blocker save. I thought that was a huge save there for him. And the Oilers, give him credit, they didn't fold. Like Dallas was beatable. And it's funny because coming into the game, well, we even talked to the reporter and they're like, yeah, Dallas has been winning, but they haven't been playing very well. And I think their coach reiterated that last night. So what do you make of Edmonton short-staffed on a back-to-back? What's the biggest concern tonight?
Well, I'll tell you what, I don't have concern over Calvin Pickard. Calvin Pickard has really been a good backup for the Oilers. They get goaltending, on these back-to-backs. I don't know what their record is in the second end of back-to-backs. He tends to play the second game. But I know his record is excellent, so I don't worry about the goaltending. I guess I'd say, the power play surprising everybody. I'm a little worried about that top pair. I didn't like them much last night, Bouchard and Ekholm. They weren't great. No. And they're let's face it, your top pair sets a tone for you. They're going to play the most minutes or, on a lot of nights. And it's the old cliche about your best guys having to be your best guys. They're not a good team with Ekholm and Bouchard playing sort of giving up what they gave up last night. So those two guys got to set a tone here. Ekholm is such a rock, right? Ekholm's a guy that everyone should be able to follow. He's an example setter. He's a leader. He's an unbelievably good player. So I'd like to see Matthias Ekholm find his game and get back to being that guy. And I think he'll drag a few other people with him.
Yeah, like last night, if you looked like he had the glove down one that didn't work, then he had the pinch, it didn't work. And then when it was 4-0 or 4-1, and then like the next shift, he just got beaten cleanly out of the corner and Robertson's wide open in the low slot and Skinner has to stop him. And like it was, and it's funny because I talked to Matthias in the morning spec about, he goes, when I think our team's coming around, he says, like Seattle, we gave up a little bit too much. And when Edmonton gives up too much, which they still have since January 1st, just like they did last night, 3 goals off the rush, that's where the majority of goals are scored. And that pairing, the Ekholm, I still believe is like the defensive conscience of the pairing, obviously. And I think a little bit of how he goes, the pairing goes. Now they've shown, and Bouchard has shown the last 2 playoff years, he becomes way more engaged. We've seen it. So no one can argue it. The last 2 playoffs, the games get tougher. Bouchard doesn't shy away, actually becomes more physical. And maybe that's what's frustrating is you don't see it as much in the regular season. But so I'm not yet there to write him off, but I think it's fair to say that pairing has to start finding their game a little bit more consistent.
Yeah, I think you said it. Ekholm needs to be the defenseman that demands more out of everybody else. But you can't demand more if your game's not very good, right? You can't come off the ice last night and demand more from everybody else when he's getting walked. So it starts there. Again, it starts with your best guys. This team, they can do a lot of things. They won't win if Connor McDavid isn't any good. And this defense can be all right. I kind of like it with Wallman on it now. They got something going here. But if their best defender in Matthias Ekholm, if his game's not there, that's a problem. He needs to be their best defender. That's how they're built. So, and I have no doubt that he will be. But there's 10 games left, and we watched one last night that wasn't very pretty.
Lastly, Skinner, I'm guessing because he didn't go I'd be surprised if he played Saturday. So I think Pickard plays too. But let's say Skinner's out an extended period of time.
Who?
I guess, Pickard's the main guy. Maybe the San Jose game next Thursday, you could give Olivier Rodrigue his first NHL start. Like you're not playing him against Vegas, and I don't think there's any chance you're playing him against Calgary. Right? That would be the only way you might play. You're not playing him against LA. That would be the one game maybe if Skinner's not ready.
Yeah, sure. Give him San Jose. You could even give him Anaheim if you want on that road trip. But it's less of a concern how Olivier plays. Sorry, it's more of a concern that Pickard hasn't played 2 or 3 in a row at all this year. Last time he played 2 in a row, he got pulled from the second one. So I like Skinner as a backup in a backup role. Pickard. We don't know what Pickard's like as a starter. We haven't seen it. We haven't seen Pickard play 3 out of 4 on a regular basis. So, when people at the deadline were saying bring in a goalie to replace Skinner, I said Skinner's enough. They're not going to get a goalie to replace Skinner. The only thing is, we all knew that if Skinner went down, the cupboard's, in terms of a long-term goalie that can play a whole series, the cupboard's pretty bare here in Edmonton. Pickard has never been that guy. And maybe he turns into that guy, but he hasn't been that guy yet.
It's fair. Spec, always good to talk to you, buddy. Have a
All
good
right.
one. Enjoy the game tonight.
Will, for sure.
That's Mark Spector, the Spector Board, brought to you by GS Construction. Let's take a quick break. We'll return. Steve Koulias will join us next on The Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Are you tired of waking up tired? Are you tossing and turning all night and stiff and sore the next morning? If your sleep is suffering, it's time to visit the Brick Mattress Store. Their sleep experts will help you find the right support for a restful night's sleep. Back sleeper, side sleeper, hot or cold, there is a perfect mattress for you. Plus, with next day delivery, your best night's sleep could be tomorrow. Check out the Brick Mattress Store locations in Spruce Grove, South Edmonton, St. Albert, and Leduc, and start waking up refreshed.
Blue Jays baseball is back on Sports 1440. This Saturday and Sunday, listen live to the broadcast of Canada's favorite team. Proud to be the home of Blue Jays baseball. We are Sports 1440.
Adventure just doesn't stumble into your life. It roars to life with Riverside Motorsports. Tearing up trails or cruising the open road, Yamaha ATVs, side-by-sides, motorcycles, and dirt bikes deliver the performance you crave. Built for thrills, ready for your next adventure. Yamaha's legendary performance and reliability take you there. Make Mother Nature your playground on a Yamaha from Riverside Motorsports. Located on St. Albert Trail. RideRiverside.com. Riverside Motorsports. What you do for fun is our business.
Whether you're a craft beer connoisseur or more of a wine aficionado, there's always something new to discover at Sherbrooke Liquor, a unique, family-owned, independent liquor store. The selection? Incredible. The non-alcohol section is also very impressive. Sherbrooke Liquor, expert, knowledgeable staff with a passion for unique finds. More than just a liquor store, we're a community. Alberta's best, the one and only Sherbrooke Liquor. Wine, spirits, and oodles of beer. Visit SherbrookeLiquor.com. Are you tired of waking up tired? Are you tossing and turning all night and stiff and sore the next morning? If your sleep is suffering, it's time to visit the Brick Mattress Store. Their sleep experts will help you find the right support for a restful night's sleep. Back sleeper, side sleeper, hot or cold, there is a perfect mattress for you. Plus, with next day delivery, your best night's sleep could be tomorrow. Check out the Brick Mattress Store locations in Spruce Grove, South Edmonton, St. Albert, Leduc, and start waking up refreshed.
Farm, ranch, acreage, or lake lot. They're here to help at Bashaw Concrete Products. Family owned and operated for 60 years. They continue to provide the best products and service, period. Call now for your free quote on the highest quality ready mix and gravel, a new septic tank, or an outhouse pad and tank. Plus precast cattle water pads, garage sumps, and more. Call 780-372-3854 for prompt delivery. Bashaw Concrete Products, 780-372-3854. BashawConcrete.com.
Are you afraid of losing your car or home due to debt? Don't let fear or shame hold you back from seeking help. Bankruptcy is not the only option. A consumer proposal can reduce your monthly payments, lower your overall debt, and allow you to keep your assets. My name is Parveen Middleton. I'm a licensed insolvency trustee at BDO here in Edmonton. I'm here to help you tackle your debt. Take the first step towards regaining control of your finances. Call 1-833-BDO-TALK or visit bdodebt.ca to learn more.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. The pizza makers at Papa John's are making you 2 or more items for $9.99 each from their Papa Pairings menu, like medium one-topping pizzas, boneless wings, cheese sticks, and more. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's.
Hat tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
5:27. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X is always presented by our title sponsor, PlayAlberta.ca. Get in the game. Check out all the new app. Everything is fresh. New lines looking good. Use the promo code Gregor50 and you'll get a free $50 play at PlayAlberta.ca. We have lots of texts to get to 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. And our email inbox as time to continue talking a lot of hockey as we're going to be joined by Steve Cooley, host of the Power Play on Sirius XM. Cooley, how you doing, Matt?
I'm good, everybody. I hope everybody's doing well. I'm watching 3 games at once. 2-0 Tampa, 1-0 Ottawa, 1-2 Philly just scored, and the Penguins just scored. Looks like Crosby. There's your update to the second.
Now, do you have like multiple TVs at your house that you're watching this? How are you doing it?
Yeah, I got 4.
In one, so you got like a man cave with 4 TVs on at once. Unreal.
You've never seen the pic. Michkov just scored 3-1 Flyers in the first. There you go.
Well, there, you know what I said? So that means the coaching change is doing the exact opposite of what it should have done. The last thing the Flyers need to do, Steve, is win games right now and lower their chances in the draft lottery.
Well, the players don't give a rat's, you know what, about that. So the idea is if you're on the ice, if it's me, you, whoever, you're going out to win, and they were embarrassed in Toronto. And I think we're going to see whatever's left in the toothpaste of the Flyers right now. They're not a very good team. Management can decide to do whatever they want to do, who plays, who doesn't moving forward. But that's normally fan speak, not player speak, because they're playing as well as, and I'll be honest with you, I think they're so happy John's gone. He was there too long with this group. What he did to Cam York Saturday was an embarrassment. And he's gone. But he might be with the Rangers next year, but he's gone right now as the Flyers are buzzing like honeybees on a nice July day.
Steve, you mentioned the Tampa Bay Lightning, and Vasilevsky is well rested. Kevin Woodley told us that him and Hellebuck have the number 1 and number 2 save percentage. They also have been playing in the best environment as goaltenders, where their team is limiting the great chances. Now they're great goalies, but that's a good combination when you're a great goalie and you're in a goalie friendly environment. Tampa Bay for me is still the team. I know Florida's been there back-to-back to the Stanley Cup final, but I look at Tampa Bay right now, and that's the team I like the most out of the Atlantic. Who do you like out of those top 3?
Well, I like a healthy Florida team, but the Ekblad thing is a wrench. The Tkachuk thing is a wrench. And as good as Bobrovsky has been when he's on his game, Vasilevsky has always proved that he's better. So I would say in this situation, when the Lightning got Gord and Oliver Bjorkstrand, they solved 2 holes in their top kind of 10. I always thought they were not deep enough when Thick Paul was not in the top 6 as it relates to the Tampa Bay Lightning. So I think they put themselves in a great spot with the trade. They're flying right now. And Tampa, why not Tampa, Washington in a Eastern Conference final? I think the door's open in the East because the West is better than the East. And there's more harder teams to get through in the West. So why not Tampa? Why not Florida? And I think Washington has a path to 270 and to the Eastern Conference final.
Yeah, well, Washington's path definitely looks better on paper for sure. And although I will say, I might argue that Carolina, regardless of who's the second wildcard team, Carolina's first round matchup against New Jersey might be easier than any team that Washington faces because the Devils look junk right now.
They look terrible. They're done. It feels, I don't even know what Dougie Hamilton's status is going to be. He's not playing another regular season game. The Jack Hughes situation, obviously. Sheldon Keefe calls out Jonathan Kovacevic. Are you kidding me? Yeah. When you backtrack from Marner and Matthews and Nylander in that, minor midget spat last year, Carolina is still better than New Jersey right now. I think New Jersey's a one-and-done team. I don't even know how well Markstrom's been playing, to be honest with you. Like, he won yesterday against Chicago, but his numbers are way down. And when I look at the East, like I said, Washington's going to get wild card 2. It doesn't matter who that is. The Capitals are better, and then they probably get Carolina. And the way things are going right now, that should be a series that they should win as well. So I can't wait for the playoffs. hey, listen, there's always upsets. We're always wrong, but that's kind of the road we see right now.
When we speak of upsets, first round hasn't been many upsets lately because the home team has won 19-24 series in the first round the last 3 years. Last year, only one where we had the lower seed win. Do you see now? Prior to that, we'd had a few years where you had 5 out of 8 win. When you look at this year's standings, you look at the teams, and we see we know Dallas and Colorado, who's ever the number 3 seed, if they win. I don't know if it's an upset per se, but the 2-3 matchups, except for the Carolina one, it's going to be Tampa, Florida, Toronto, whoever it is. It's going to be Dallas and Colorado, and it's likely going to be Edmonton and LA. Do you see any of them that would be deemed an upset?
The only upset in the first round of the matchups that I see would be whoever is, if it's Ottawa, if it's Montreal, or if it's St. Louis, if they were to win a series, right? In this situation, Ottawa would be the least of the upsets, because if the Leafs somehow got first and Ottawa beat them, I don't think that's a tremendous upset with the way the Sens have really pushed the Leafs around and played them so well this year. St. Louis over the Jets or St. Louis over Dallas, that's an upset. Wildcard 2 in the East over Washington, that's a matchup. That's an upset. So I kind of only have 2, maybe 3 situations that would be upsets. If it ends up being Minnesota in that spot, I think St. Louis might end up being wild card 2. Nobody would be Vegas as the Pacific winner. So as I talk myself into it, maybe the wild cards would be upsets, those 4. I just don't see it happening. I really don't. I think your stats going to get even better for home teams in this year's playoffs.
Tampa Bay and LA are both dominant at home and have the 2 worst road records amongst playoff teams. What do you make of that? Do you think it matters at all come playoff time if the Kings get home ice when they're this bad on the road?
I don't understand the road record when they play a structured system where they should be better in that situation anyway. I think there's something to be said that the LA Kings will be better on the road in the playoffs than they were in the regular season, and they probably won't be as good in the playoffs at home as they were as well. It's their time to beat Edmonton is now. The time is nigh. If it's not now, with the Oilers' situation of being worse than they were last year, the injuries, we talked about Skinner and getting bumped in the play. The Oilers have burned the candle at both ends in 2 consecutive seasons. The year before, when they fought all those wins at the end just to finish second anyway. And of course, everything that happened after the 3-9-1 start last year to go all the way to the Stanley Cup final. If the Kings in a 2-3 matchup can't beat the Oilers this year, then they'll never beat them. And I think some of those numbers are great. But remember, when people go to LA, they're doing California and maybe Utah and Colorado. So it's a 5-game trip. The Kings go on the road. It's usually for 2 weeks. Luke Robitaille always said, we have the worst schedule in the NHL. Well, there's a few teams in the Central that might be able to tackle the Kings in that category. I think execution comes down to and star power as well. The Kings do have depth down the middle, and Byfield's playing very well. But there's something to be said, like McDavid in Game 7, I guess the first meeting between the 2 teams, he just won it by himself. Yeah. And there's something to be said by one guy having their Lemieux, Bossy, whatever Patrick Kane type of moment. The Kings don't have that guy, in my opinion.
Yeah, wow. I would agree with that. And I look at, the other thing is if LA is going to win, they're going to have to find a way to shut down Edmonton's power play because it's absolutely murdered them. And Edmonton's the special teams were the difference every year in those series. It was and almost comical. Like when your power play is 55 and 45% in back-to-back years, you're going to win a lot of games. So and the thing was, the Kings had the second best penalty kill in the league last year, and then the Oilers absolutely obliterated them. And the Oilers' power play in 2 games without McDavid and Draisaitl has scored 4 goals. So their power play seems to be good regardless of who's on it. They just went up without McDavid and Draisaitl and scored 2 goals against the best penalty kill in the league last night in Dallas. It's very odd.
Yeah, I was laughing. I just felt like the Band-Aid came off, and I'll tell you, there was a late goal post over Ottinger's glove hand. Yeah, it was almost 4-4. The Oilers, the second period, obviously cost them the game. They played great at first. I think they deserved a better fate than the Wyatt Johnson goal down 1-0. The one thing about this year as it relates to penalties, we hit the GM's meetings, remember? 747 fewer minors called per game. I wonder if that relates to the playoffs and there's even fewer penalties than we're kind of used to, and there's going to be more 5-on-5 play. You think whatever happens in the regular season should kind of translate into the postseason. Those numbers were really down, and obviously the more power play time probably benefits the Oilers or Detroit, who's number 3, but they're not going to be in the playoffs. So I think that's something to keep in mind as well. Kings fans will say we have a Stanley Cup champion and we have Kemper that we didn't before. So that could be an argument as well as it relates to the LA Kings and goaltending and being there and everything else. I think there's so much excitement that's right around the corner once we get to April in terms of matchups. I have it as a pick'em series now until I see Kane, Frederick. I'm not worried about 29 and 97. I'd like to know what they can contribute and do as playoff type players in heavy hockey. The Kings have been heavy before. I think these guys will make the Oilers heavier, but we haven't seen them yet in copper and blue. So I'll feel better once I do.
Well, Steve Koulias from SiriusXM joins us. And I appreciate you reading my article, Steve, about those numbers because I crunched all those power play numbers. It was mind-blowing to me. But looking at Trent Frederick, and you see a lot of the East, Oiler fans are getting a little antsy because it's like, you know what? And the Oilers themselves probably, when they made the trade, this was the week they were expecting him to be back. They knew he'd be out a few weeks. Well, now it's 3, and he's not going to play this week. And I don't even know if he's going to play next week. He hasn't even skated yet with the team. What is Frederick going to bring to Edmonton?
He might bring a American Esa-Tikkanen to the lineup in terms of a pest, in terms of physicality, in terms of all the things you do to win ugly in the playoffs. I think that's to be said. We know he can fight. There's years that he's been better offensively. He won't have to worry about that. I mean, where is he going to play? Is he going to be a third-line left winger? Is he going to get a chance, higher up in the lineup, which would help him? There's a lot of things further down the lineup this year that have puzzled me, depending on, you guys are probably talking about Jeff Skinner. I mean, Henrique's goal yesterday was his 10th. We've seen Kapanen before. I just think it gives depth because forget the two big boys. Those are two guys who have not played yet, who are going to bump 2 other, I have to assume, out of the top 9. So whoever right now is at 8 and 9 moves down to 10 and 11. And that's going to help because Dylan Holloway is never coming back. And I'd like to think that Wallman is going to do a replaceable job of what Broberg did later on in his run with the Oilers last year when he got a chance to play. So I think that's going to give them heavy hockey. It'll protect the big boys as well. And if they're in the same game, the first game back, I think they will be a wrecking ball to make a statement that we're back and that we're healthy. And that bodes well for the Oilers. That's why part of me does believe it or not, Oilers on the road against LA is better. They go into the building and get a split. There goes LA's home ice. They bring it back as these guys get more acclimated, because we're less than 3 weeks here.
Yeah.
Like the time is ticking. So there's something to be said, and I've talked to former NHL players or current guys too, depending on the year, you've earned the right. You're Winnipeg and Washington. That's different. For the Oilers this year, being the 3, I don't have a problem with that. I think it would be good gaining the split and moving on from there. But maybe I'm wrong, but that's how I feel.
Lastly, Steve, if you had to, and this one's, I know, putting you on the spot, the Flyers got rid of John Tortorella today. He kind of got rid of himself when he said, I'm not really interested in being here in this situation. But if you're the Flyers and, clearly it seems like now they've admitted, you know what, we're going to rebuild. Because when you had John Tortorella, I don't think you're fully committed to the rebuild because he's not a coach to rebuild. He's a coach to get every possible drop out of your team. And that's, in a weird way, that's probably not what you want. So who do you think they should look at to hire as the next coach in Philly?
Well, I know a lot of people have talked about what happened last year and the Flyers pushing it late this year. Boy, they've mixed the lineup around with the Sean Couturiers and Noah Cates and guys. They probably jumbled the lineups more than anybody else. When you don't have a first-line center, you don't have a first-line center. Couturier's been 1, he's been 2, he's been 3, and he's 4. Maybe the next Spencer Carberry is at the University of Denver. Maybe it's Matt Carl. Maybe would he leave a job of $700,000 a year to come run the Flyers? No, most people never even heard of Spencer Carberry when he ended up going to the Washington Capitals.
Right.
And look how that worked out. And remember, he planted the seed the first year. They made the playoffs barely, and then they retooled as they move forward. That's not going to happen that fast in Philly. That's impossible. They don't have a goalie, and the Capitals had Charlie Lindgren, and they went out and got Logan Thompson, and he's been one of the best goalies in the league this year, and I'm sure he's going to get some Vezina votes. So I'm more about not recycling Marty Schottenheimer and the Kansas City Chiefs, all the 8-8 teams of the past. I think it's time for new blood. Would he take the job? I'm not sure. I haven't done a deep dive in seeing who's there with the Phantoms and who's there, some guys that might be available across the league. But I think there's an example of someone who's early paid his dues at the international level and at the university level. But I feel like it's going to be Rick Tocchet. It feels like Rick Tocchet is going to be the guy. And Rick's Notre Dame clause probably includes Pittsburgh and Philly. Penguins aren't making a move. Philly just did. So if the Flyers have already kind of fought this out, and you got Danny Briere and Keith Jones there, I'm sure there's a connection with Keith and Rick. Rick has not re-upped. He's got an option on his last year. New blood would be University of Denver. An old face who's done very well might be Rick Tocchet, who might want to leave the Vancouver circus.
It is a circus, of that there's no doubt. Steve, great stuff, man. I appreciate it. Have yourself an awesome day.
Awesome. I'm going back to my 4 TVs.
What's the score? Give us the update.
I came upstairs for better reception for you.
Nice. I love it. I like it. Professional. Professional. Appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. See you guys.
Steve Coolius from Sirius XM. And, it is fascinating when the playoffs begin. The great part about the playoffs is everybody get really frustrated about this or that. This guy didn't play well, and this guy hasn't played well. The goaltending hasn't been consistent. And then all of a sudden the playoffs start. And all that matters is that the guys play well then. And that's what makes it great and infuriating at the same time, because the opposite will happen if you're a team that's rolling like Winnipeg or Washington. If all of a sudden you have a few bad games, you're done. Like, think about it. The 2 best regular season records we've seen in the NHL the last 5 years, last 6 years, both of those teams lost in the first round. Tampa Bay Lightning, when they won 62 games, got swept. Now, there was obviously some circumstances. Hedman got injured, big factor. But still, they won 62 games and got swept in the first round. The Boston Bruins, 135 points. Didn't make it out of the first round. Lost to Florida, the 8th seed. So, man, that's how the playoffs are great. And once you're in, like, to say, this team can't, the Oilers can't win. You can't, you can say it, but there's nothing really based on other than emotion. Because I look at it this way. Look at how the Oilers have played the last few games without Draisaitl. Look how they played last night against Dallas. Dallas's own coach said Edmonton was a better team. They were, except they self-imploded a few times. You add 4 forwards to that lineup. You don't think they're better? So now you got some guys saying, hey, we can play better. And we have been now. And if they continue it, that should only be good for them when they all come back, because they'll be a little bit more physical. Obviously, it ups the skill level of the team, probably the will level of the team. I wouldn't be counting out the Oilers just yet. I don't know how deep they can go. We got to find out how healthy guys are. But if they all get healthy, I think the Oilers got a pretty good team. And I don't see a great team in the NHL this year. Like, there's not a team where you say, Vegas, no one can beat them. Like Colorado in 2022, they were really good, better than everybody else. I don't see that this year. Quick break. We'll come back, wrap things up in the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Play Alberta has hundreds of casino games right at your fingertips. Join thousands discovering why Fortune Coin is one of Alberta's most popular games. Fill your reels with golden coins, multiply your prizes up to 6 times, and turn good spins into legendary ones. Land the Fortune Coin symbol to win cash, trigger the jackpot, launch the free spins bonus, and watch as the dragon takes over your screen. New players get 100 free spins only on PlayAlberta.ca. Claim your offer today.
Dang. Last season, you bought new clubs to fix your game. You spent the entire season trying to learn how to hit with your magic clubs. And guess what? Dang. They didn't help your game. Now you're convinced it's your swing, but it really is your clubs. Even though you were told the ones you bought were the best ever made, if they were, you would have gotten better. Every day at Fitted Golf, we continue to prove the right clubs make all the difference in the world. From beginners to pros, Fitted Golf makes all the difference. Yes! FittedGolf.ca.
RV Wars hits the north side March 27th to 30th at the Old Lowe's building. Go RV, Vision RV, and Arcan RV have joined forces for RV Wars. Take advantage of pre-tariff pricing on travel trailers, fifth wheels, motorhomes, and more. The last of the 2024 models are being cleared out. Make no payments for 6 months OAC. Now is the time to buy with special discounted finance rates, free admission with a donation to the food bank. RV Wars this weekend on the north side, 9603 165 Avenue. Visit rvwars.ca.
Explore beyond the boundaries of capability and value during Truck Month at GMC. Right now, get 0% financing for up to 72 months on the 2025 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab Pro Graphite. With a TurboMax engine delivering 310 horsepower, GMC Pro safety features including automatic emergency braking, plus a max towing of up to 9,500 pounds. You'll be ready for anything this Truck Month. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
Introducing the new McSpicy from McDonald's. It looks like a regular chicken sandwich, but it's actually a spicy chicken sandwich. McSpicy. Consider yourself warned. Limited time only. Participate in McDonald's in Canada.
Your paycheck is about to get bigger. With Budget 2025, the lowest taxes in the country are getting even lower. Alberta's government is introducing an income tax cut. This will save hardworking Albertans up to $750 per person and $1,500 per family every year. Lower taxes mean more money in your pocket. For the full details, visit alberta.ca/budget. A message from the Government of Alberta.
The Henry Armstrong Award is a $10,000 bursary and 12-month mentorship award for Indigenous artists in Canada, regardless of genre. The mission is simple: to develop, elevate, and support the diverse talents in the Canadian Indigenous music community. The portal is now open for the 2025 award submissions and will close on Friday, April 18th, 2025. Find out how you could be mentored by leaders in the global music industry. For details, go to henryarmstrongaward.ca. And good luck to everyone.
Tonight, I'm gonna have my say.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantork. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at cantork.com.
Hat tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
$5.50. Welcome back, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley. We got a lot of texts flying in. 833-401-1440. 833-401-1440. Hope you're having a lovely day. The Oilers taking on Seattle tonight. Lineup changes. We'll get to the lineup report brought to you by Sherwood Power Sports and Marine, where right now, how about you thinking about it? You're like, ooh, now I know it's snowing, but still, maybe a little fun ATV in. How about $50 bi-weekly? Or on a boat, close your eyes. Picture yourself on a boat this summer for $105 bi-weekly. Get in now at Sherwood Power Sports and Marine. The Oilers, we do know that Stuart Skinner is not on the trip, so Calvin Pickard will be starting. Olivier Rodrigue will be the backup. They will have 7 defensemen dressed. Derek Ryan had to be reassigned for salary cap reasons, so they could recall Olivier Rodrigue. So the Oilers, and unless there's a miracle Leon Draisaitl appearance, which I don't expect to happen, they will go 11-7. Not sure who the 7th defenseman is going to be. Emerson was going to play in this game regardless. That was the plan. He was going to play tonight, so he's going to play. But so do they just keep Stetcher in? I could see it. Who knows? Maybe they want to get Klingberg in at some point. We'll find out. But that'll go. The line, so they'll go 11 forwards. You would just think that Perry and Jones will stay as kind of the de facto fourth line wingers, and the other 3 lines stay the same. With Nugent Hopkins, with Podkolzin and Arvidsson, you will have Skinner with Janmark and Brown, And then obviously you have Henry, Kyman, and Kapanen. Seattle does not have Chandler Stevenson tonight, so they'll have Wright and Beniers as their top two line centers. They don't really have a big offensive guy. You got Eberle, Schwartz, and Wright, Beniers, Kakko, and Nyman, McCain, Burakovsky, Tolvanen, Hayden, Cartier, Esamont, Dunn, Larson, Evans, Montour, Alexiak, and Mahura. And, of course, Decord will start in goal. Enjoy the game. We got the pregame show coming up. Walker and Paulson. And then, of course, they'll be back for all of the post-game reaction. Can the Oilers win their 10th straight against Seattle? Find out tonight. Enjoy. Let's get to the Con Man and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by your Alberta GMC dealers. Stop in because it is truck month going on right now. You can get 0% financing for up to 72 months on a 2025 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab Pro Graphite. See more at gmccanada.ca. Good night.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Edmonton Oilers were called goaltender Olivier Rodrigue from the AHL on an emergency basis. The move comes after starting goaltender Stuart Skinner suffered an injury in the third period of last night's loss to the Stars after a collision with Mikko Rantanen. Oil on the ice tonight down in Seattle taking on the Kraken. Puck drop after 8 o'clock. Pre-game coverage with Andrew Walker and Donovan Paulson coming up next here on Sports 1440. Elsewhere around the NHL, Sharks host the Leafs. The Kings in Colorado. Flames taking on the Stars. Blues meet the Preds. Games going on right now. Flyers lead the Canadiens 3-1. Today they fired head coach John Tortorella. Brad Shaw replacing him on an interim basis. You also got the Caps trailing the Wild 1-0. Lightning up on the Utah HC 2-0. Sends lead the Red Wings by that same score. And the Penguins on the road in Buffalo trail the Sabres 2-1 after 20. In the association, Cavs lead the Spurs 46-36. Magic up on the Mavs 36-33. And the Pacers over the Wizards right now 62-47. Later tonight, Lakers and Bulls, Thunder, Grizzlies, Rockets take on the Jazz. You got the Trailblazers beating the Kings. Earlier today, as the Jays kicked off their 2025 season, not ideal. They fall to the Orioles 12-2. The two teams will go at it again tomorrow. Also, the Yankees doubling up the Brewers 4-2. Phillies over the Nationals 7-3. Red Sox down the Rangers 5-2. Pirates fall to the Marlins 5-4. Giants get past the Reds 6-4. White Sox over the Angels 8-1, and the Guardians in extra drop the Royals 7-4. Still to come tonight. You got the Diamondbacks and Cubbies as well as the Athletics in Seattle. Two games going on right now. Heading to the 8th in St. Louis, Cards lead the Twins 4-3, and in the 4th, Dodgers have a 1-0 lead over the Tigers. March Madness Sweet 16 kicking off tonight. Right now, 2.5 minutes left in the first half. Alabama leads BYU 46-38, and it's early, but Florida up on Maryland 15-9. Later tonight, number 1 Duke and Arizona meeting in Jersey. And in San Francisco, you'll have the number 10 Arkansas Razorbacks taking on the number 3 Texas Tech Red Raiders. That'll do it for us on the Gregor Show. Up next, pregame coverage with Walker and Paulson. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
This is Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio